broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas. It's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 13 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show. Tim, we officially have made the year mark now. We have been doing these a year, and so, Tim, it's been a while since we did a live one, though, because the last one we actually pre-recorded, right?
Right.
So we are excited.
Semi-live.
Exactly. Not so live. I think that's what we said. The not so live show. But tonight we are actually live. So we want to thank all of you for tuning in, especially those in the chat room tonight. Tim, it says we've got YouTube Punk here. We've got Louis here, our Facebook moderator. We got Anthony. We got several people. Super Goya 2001. So we want to thank all of you guys for joining us tonight. Now, Tim, what have you been up to? What's been going on since we got together? And technically, we did get together for the February Not So Live show. But what's been going on since then? How have things been going at Chuck E. Cheese?
Well, I think we've been wondering if we need to build an ark here in Texas. It's been raining every day.
We have been getting a lot of rain, guys. Yeah, I mean, and even, like, we got so much rain that I have parts of my house that are leaking a little bit because the rain was so hard. It's like parts that would never leak, because of the just sheer downpour that we've been getting, have started to leak. So
same thing. We've been a lot busier because of the weather, and we had a lot of cold weather this winter. So just staying inside, staying warm, staying busy.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Now, of course, I had a son, Tim, since the last show, so we were very excited about that. And Tim, if I'm a little off, it's because my sleep patterns have definitely been interrupted.
I bet
so. Guys, I'm sorry if I'm not as sharp as I usually am, because I definitely am suffering from a lack of sleep. So let's just put it like that. Tim, Joe Rivera is in here with us tonight as well.
Hey, Joe.
Thanks for joining us. So now, Tim, before we go into the outline, before we get started, I believe that tomorrow is some sort of special day.
Yes, it is Dr. Seuss's birthday.
Oh, okay, Dr. Seuss's. I was thinking more along the lines of your birthday. So, everybody in the chat, here we go. Happy birthday to you. And that's all I'm going to sing.
All right.
Because I don't want to get sued. I don't know. Does anybody have the rights? Is it officially public domain?
I think it's public domain.
Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tim. Tomorrow. Happy birthday to you. And so tomorrow, guys, is Tim's birthday. We're not going to say how old he is, unless he wants to. I don't think he does. We're not going to say how old he is.
I'm older than Pac-Man.
Now, before you open this up, show everybody the nice wrapping job I did. See, look at that. What does it say on it? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
See, look at that. It's very, very simple, but, it's nice anyway. But happy birthday, Tim. A day early. So.
You're actually a much better present wrapper than I am.
I have a lot of practice, with kids, you have to wrap a lot of gifts. So.
I guess so.
Now, I made it easy to open. Not like TV easy to open, but, just kind of easy to open. So, let's see. What's in it, guys?
Here's a shirt. Let's see what this
what
one
do you
says.
got? Oh, there you go.
Oh, cool.
You can see it up there. An Atari shirt.
Yes.
So, Louis says happy 29th birthday.
Yes.
So there you go. I think Louis got it right. There you go. And I see a lot of I own the rights to happy birthday. Oh man, now I got to pay somebody. Oh, goodness. Okay, what's the next one we got here?
Another
so we got one shirt,
and it is.
You see, I really like that one.
Yeah,
now, me personally. Cool. So
that is cool.
And then we got one more thing in the box. I gave you 3 gifts, but 1 box.
Wow.
It just makes it easier on TV.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so show everybody what it is. You got to hold it up. You got to hold it up.
Mini arcade?
Yeah, these mini arcade cabinets have gotten really popular. This one is the Arcade Classics series. You can get these at Walmart, I believe, is where this one came from. You can also get them on, I can't remember, Amazon, several other places. Now, here's the deal. So yesterday, Tim.
Oh, wow.
So, Tim, I was at the store yesterday, and I picked this up for you.
You did. You said.
So, I sent him a message that just said, okay, Pac-Man, Asteroids, Joust, or Centipede. Pick one quick.
Pick one quick.
Pick one
I don't
quick.
Know why.
And the funny thing was that before you even said Joust, I had the Joust in my hand. It was the one that I picked for you. So yeah, you can actually see the little screen and everything, which is pretty cool. So so there you go, Tim.
Ah, cool.
Happy birthday.
You, Jonathan.
So do you want to go change into one of your shirts real quick? I don't know what I'll do. We can fill time. You don't want to?
I'll have 2 for the next 2 months.
There
or one
you go,
for the next 2 months. So.
There you go.
Hold
So,
everybody up.
happy birthday, Tim. You got a nice Atari shirt, nice
Thank
Pac-Man
you.
shirt,
Thank
and you
you.
got a little mini arcade. So there
Awesome.
you go. Those are great presents for any of the arcade people out there.
Yeah, an arcade game and 2 shirts.
Yeah, I didn't get you an actual full-size arcade game. I'm sorry. But
Yeah,
I
when
got
you
you
were-
a arcade game.
You got my hopes up. You said between Centipede, Joust. I was
Pac-Man
thinking,
Asteroids.
wow, what do you got, a sale or something? At an auction? Oh well, I like the mini one.
and I
That's
didn't
all
tell
I
you-
have room for now.
I didn't tell you what it was for either. I just threw it at
Yeah.
you, and that's why I was kind of curious what you would throw back.
I
was
didn't
like,
know
what's
if you
he
were
gonna say?
doing a poll or what. I was like, okay.
Well, I thought I would play it off if you asked what's that for, but you never did. So,
Oh.
but that was it. What it was for? You got that one. They had a Rampage one too, but I know you're not as much of like a newer Rampage fan.
Yeah.
They had Frogger too, which I found later.
Okay.
So they have a Frogger one, but I think they're really cool, and we can talk a little bit more about that because I got one of those for Valentine's Day too.
Oh,
so
cool.
I really like those. So. Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking at the thing. The Rampage Mini is pretty nice as well, which we just talked about, and then the mini arcade repair tips for next month. Okay. There you go. So,
Well, hopefully it won't break between now and then.
There you go, so.
A new one should at least last that long.
absolutely. So happy birthday, Tim, and thank
Thank
you
you.
everybody
Thank
for
you.
joining us tonight for the show. Tim, we got lots of questions on the slate. We got lots of exciting things to talk about. Tim, this show may go over a little bit just because we have so much to talk about. I think
right.
we're going to try to get it into that 2-hour time frame, but we have a lot of stuff that we're very excited to talk about with you guys tonight. And of course, if you have any questions, please leave them in the live chat for us as we continue on through the show.
We got a video to play.
We do have a video to play. We're going to be talking about some new 4-foot, $400 arcade cabinets that are being released pretty soon, which are pretty
Yes.
awesome. We're also going to talk about Dave and Buster's strategy when it comes to picking new locations, and that's been
Nice.
something that's been really, really interesting. I think we found out a lot in like the last week or so. And then Tim, we're also going to be talking about the Texas Pinball Festival, and we'll be talking about whether or not we're going to make it. So if you
Yes.
guys want to find out for that, you can wait till the end. Spoiler alert, probably not going to make it. But anyway, that's how it goes. So guys, without any further ado, let's get into the questions. And the first one, Tim, that we have is from Tom. And Tom says, I have spent hours trying to find a solution to my problem and have yet to resolve it. You guys may be my last hope before I swap out to an LCD, which I don't want to do. I am converting a Zaxxon upright to a JAMA 60-in-1. Prior to the conversation, the display was centered prior to the conversion, Tim. See,
Right.
I'm not reading very well. The display was centered and working perfectly. Now, as you can see by the pic, it needs to be shifted to the right half a row and needs to come down a row and a half. There should be another row of blue and white on top of the less than half there, red and white. Now, Tim, I think he continues on here. This is about as close as I can get it before it starts rolling. Moving both the vertical and horizontal roster adjustment pins do not help enough. I would greatly appreciate any tips or help you can provide. If you have addressed this similar issue on your site and I missed it, thanks for pointing it out to me. Thank you. So, Tim, we have a really interesting problem here with Tom, is that it was working fine when it was a Zaxxon cabinet.
Okay.
But now he wants to convert that Zaxxon to a 60-in-1 game. And when he does, he brings up the test pattern, and he's shifted all over the place. It looks like he's missing basically the bottom row of stuff there, okay? So, like, he's
Right.
got all of it has moved up and kind of over a little bit, okay? So
Right.
now he doesn't have that nice centered picture that he had with his Zaxxon. So what do you think's going on here with Tom's Zaxxon? What do you think is causing the issue with his arcade monitor?
Well, one of the things that we don't have the information is what kind of monitor he has.
Sure.
And there's different types of sync and stuff for different monitors and everything. And your 60-in-1 board will act really different towards certain, especially older school monitors.
Right.
So he really needs to look at his sync wires and make sure that it may be positive sync that he needs, or it may be negative composite, or whatever that he needs. He's going to have to maybe move some of his sync wires around to get that to sync up. Also, if it's an old G07, we know that there's jumper wires that can be moved to shift and rotate the position.
Right.
That may also help him some.
Right, so you're saying this seems like more of a sync issue, though.
More of a sync issue just based on what he said and what I saw in the picture.
And Tim, what I did was I threw up some information here from Bob Roberts' website, and so I'll go ahead and read it here for the folks. Make sure that the monitor sync is properly connected. Most JAMA boards, 61 included, use composite negative sync. And
Right.
Tim, I'm going to repeat that. Most JAMA boards, 61 included, use composite negative sync. Zaxxon can be changed to either use positive or negative composite sync. So you could actually change it to whichever type of sync the monitor was taking, if it was a positive sync or a negative sync. So if your Zaxxon board was set, for instance, to a composite positive sync and it's hooked up to your monitor to the positive sync pins, it could cause issues similar to this, okay? Because what he needs to do is make sure that his sync wires are going to the negative sync pins. So like if you're looking at this little image here that we have, you'll see in the yellow text, you'll see positive vertical sync, positive horizontal sync. You'll see negative vertical sync, negative horizontal sync. So what he needs to do is make sure that his 60-in-1 is hooked up to the negative vertical sync wires, okay? If there's two of them like this, you may have to split them. Okay,
yes.
If it takes one, then you can just run the one sync wire to it. But we need to make sure that we're getting the right type of sync to those pins, and that's what it comes down to. So double check, let's see, is that where we're at? Yeah, so double check that the sync wire running from your board to the chassis is hooked up to the negative pin or negative pins if it has a horizontal vertical split. Also check your monitor for cold and cracked, broken solder joints, as they can also cause problems like this. And Tim, what we have here too, you'll see this G07, you know, I know you mentioned that he doesn't have a, we don't know what kind of monitor he has,
right.
He did not tell us. But
I just knew that was a very popular monitor at that era of game.
Right, so on the G07, you'll see that, you know, we have the horizontal and vertical are on a separate breakout connector for the negative sync. The positive sync, I believe, is on the same connector. And so that's what you want to make sure of, Tom. You want to make sure that you have the composite negative sync hooked up properly to your monitor, because that can cause this kind of shifting that we're getting. And I know it's kind of confusing, Tim, and I wish there was a better way that we could put that.
Well, I think it's the picture right there. It's kind of hard to explain, but if he'll look at that picture, I think he'll figure it out.
We're talking about different types of sync is what we're talking about. And so it could be that your Zaxxon was putting out that positive sync like we talked about and is hooked up to the positive sync pins on your monitor, whereas the 16-in-1 is outputting negative sync and needs to be hooked to the negative pins on your monitor. And so that's really what it comes down to, Tim. And, you know, cold cracked solder joints are always going to be something, Tim, that can cause issues like this. So make sure you go over your monitor chassis, make sure everything is soldered properly and that you don't have any of those as well. Tim, anything else for Tom before we move on?
No, I don't think so. And if he needs more help, please email us back or maybe give us a picture. Tell us what kind of monitor you have, and maybe we can go a little deeper with you if we need to. But hopefully this will solve your issue.
Sounds good. So, Tom, hopefully that answers your question, and good luck getting that 60-in-1 picture to center properly on that Zaxxon monitor. Okay, Tim, I'm going to check the chat real quick. I see a party hard over here by, it looks like Saran Wrap.
Okay.
So he says, party hard for your birthday tomorrow. Okay, that's good stuff. Let's see if I see anything else here. Oh, Super Goya 2001 says, I guess we owe him $9 million for singing Happy Birthday.
Wow.
So there you go. And I thought Spotify was getting ripped off on
really?
their stuff. So, I mean, obviously, we owe a lot. YouTube Punk says he picked up a Joust shirt recently, which is pretty cool. So Joust is one of our favorite games. One of the greatest two-player classic arcades, Tim. I think simultaneous two-player classic games by far. That, Wizard of War. I'm trying to think of some other
those two-player games where you can work together or you can kill each other. Exactly. Always a good one.
Always. So there you go. Okay, Tim, well, I don't see any other... Oh, let's see. Let's see. Spunky Bruiser says, first time watching these, love your tip videos. Rebuilding a multicade Williams control panel now while watching. Okay, awesome. So good luck with that, Spunky. And if you need any help, we're here right now.
There you go. Ask in the chat room.
Oh, there you go. He says, wow, I am doing a 60-in-1 and noticed on my monitor it's a dual sync setup. I will keep that in mind if I run into a problem. Yeah. Sometimes you will people will hook the positive and the negative, or the sync wire up to the positive and the negative.
Right.
We kind of frown on that. You need to know whether or not your board is putting out positive or negative and hook up the correct one accordingly. So that's what it comes down to. Okay, YouTube Punk says Warlords. That's another simultaneous multiplayer game that you can think of. Space Duel, another one. Very good. So all of those are really great games. But anyway, guys, no more repair questions at this point, Tim, so we will move on to Mike. And here we go, Tim. So when you wire up the coin lights in a Jam Arcade cabinet, can you wire them to the 12-volt line on the power supply? Pretty simple, Tim. Pretty straightforward from Mike here. So when we wire up the coin door lights, the coin reject lights, and a lot of times what we consider them, can we just wire them to the 12-volt line on the power supply?
Sure.
Okay.
Easily,
Okay, let's move on. No, go ahead and give some explanation.
You can for sure if it's a 12-volt bulb.
Correct.
That's
the key. Right?
That's the key, is to know how many volts is that bulb. And one way that you can do that is you can go to HAP's website and type in what kind of bulb it is, because they want to sell you more of them.
Well, sure.
And it'll tell you 12 volt, 6 volt, or whatever. So sometimes if you're not sure before trying it, you can do that. Another simple way to tell if it's super duper bright, you probably have the too low a power bulb.
So, and a lot of times, Tim,
if it blows it, you certainly do.
I was about to say, a lot of times your only two choices are going to be 5 volt or 12 volt.
Right,
so if
most of the time.
Right, so if it's super bright, it's more than likely that you have a 5 volt bulb and a 12 volt slot.
Or if it's really dim, you probably have a 12-volt bulb and a 5-volt slot.
Correct. So there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this up.
It's real simple. Yes, you can do that.
So yes, you can wire coin lights to the 12-volt DC line on the switching power supply. With that said, make sure that the bulbs that you install in the sockets for your coin lights are made for this voltage. See our bulb table in the post below for a list of bulbs and their compatible voltages. Tim, we actually have a table that shows you the most common bulbs, the type, if they're bayonet, if they're slot, whatever they are, and then it shows how much the voltage is on
Even
those.
easier.
Right, exactly. So, and that's in our post on replacing lights in an arcade cabinet. So you guys can check that out for more information on bulbs. And Tim, it really is that simple, right? You just hook up the voltage that you need to the coin lights and put the right bulb in, right?
You got to hook up the common wire and but you can run the common like off of your joysticks or a button like that, but you're going to have to run the power. More than likely, that's how we recommend that you do it.
Exactly, correct.
Unless you've got 12 volts coming up somewhere else.
Right.
It's easier just to run it to the power supply. It's one of the quickest ways to hook it up.
Absolutely. So, Mike, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting those cabinet coin lights wired up correctly.
Well, those lights are really bright.
I know, the ones he's looking at the ones in the outline here. Those are very bright. They may be using the LED ones, which, I put in one of my games recently, and it looks really nice. Or they could have the wrong bulb in there for the voltage, Tim.
I do recommend the LED bulbs. They do look really good in there, and they just don't burn out.
There you go. So, and that's what that's what I've been putting. I have a little Ziploc bag of them, in fact, right here. Let's show that. Ziploc bag. Check it out. LEDs. So there you go. And they're pretty cheap, Tim. So, you can get them. And, they cost maybe a little bit more than, like, your standard bulbs, but not much. So.
But I do like a coin light on a game. It's like I know a lot of people don't bother with them, but it really does, just an extra light. Those really bright ones look really good.
Well, I think it was designed, Tim, because a lot of arcades were dark, and you didn't know where to put the coin, right?
That's right.
So there you go. So especially down, if you notice, like in most arcades, down below knee level, it's pretty dark as a whole, even if you have black lights and things. So I think that's the main reason why we see them a lot, so. Okay, Tim, checking the chat here. ITD, it looks like. Is that ITO? Excuse me. ITO says, hey, guys, hello from Connecticut.
Oh.
So, hello. Hello from Texas. Hello. That's where we're at, right?
Right.
So, there you go. So, we want to thank you guys again for joining us tonight. If you're just now joining us, we've gotten into a couple of questions, and it's Tim's birthday tomorrow. Okay, so everybody wish Tim a happy birthday in the chat, and we'll call those out as people do that, Tim. So there you go. Okay, Tim, let's go to David's question. I found this one very interesting.
Okay.
Let's just put it like that. So David says, how do I change a stand-up cabinet to a cocktail cabinet?
Okay, you talking about the physical wood itself or the electronics?
This is the only indicator he gives us. That is the question. How do I change a stand-up cabinet to a cocktail cabinet?
I've seen a couple of them converted.
I was about to say, this is a great opportunity for you to tell a story about something that happened in a town about 45 minutes away.
So I heard there was some Miss Pac-Mans from an old dealer that had like 12 Miss Pac-Mans still in a storage unit.
Right. More than that.
Wasn't
like
a storage
machine.
unit. Yeah.
Right.
A lot. It's like they had had like 4 F-14s.
Right.
12 Miss Pac-Man.
Old operator.
Yeah, an old operator from the 80s, and it shut down cigarette machines, stuff like that. So I went and looked, and the building had been broken into, and a couple of games had been dragged outside, and one of them was sawn in half, a Miss Pac-Man, and it was upside down.
The top half was upside down.
So the rounded part was upside down, and a guy was sitting in it rocking like a rocking chair.
This is a real story.
Real story,
I remember this. Yes.
When I walked up there, and I was able to get some of the boards and parts off of those games, but never could negotiate a deal. As far as I know, they're still there.
Right, and that place was about to cave in.
It was literally horrible. And it was tied up in an estate, and all the kids were kind of fighting over it. Nobody would sell.
Right.
And they're probably still sitting there today.
I wouldn't be surprised. So, but
anyway,
that Miss Pac-Man.
So you could saw off the top and make a cocktail cabinet out of it,
right?
But we don't recommend that. Yeah, probably. I think what he's asking is like, you could take all the wiring and stuff and put into one, and the board. You're gonna have to switch it to cocktail mode,
right? Which
is a dip switch setting,
correct?
On most game cabinets. Now, if it wasn't some games never had a cocktail.
Correct.
So you have to keep that in mind, or, like in the 60-1, some games don't flip because of that. But if it had a cocktail game, then it would be worth it if you wanted it in a cocktail cabinet. You just put all the stuff. Everybody knows that there's a lot of air. You could crawl up in a game and shut the back door.
Exactly.
So a lot of it's just more compact in a cocktail cabinet. So it wouldn't be hard to do. You just take everything out and put it in the bottom of the cabinet.
There you go. So I actually photoshopped a nice picture here for you, Tim.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So everybody could see. I got the Miss Pac-Man kind of cut in half there.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it for a rocking chair, but,
Okay, there you go. So, from a physical standpoint, you can technically cut the top half off of most arcade cabinets, and they would continue to work normally, which would make them somewhat similar to a cocktail. However, Tim, we do not recommend this, right?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Not even one bit. We just don't do it, right? We're not even going to say do it. Just don't. But we assume, Tim, he's probably talking about how to make the board run in cocktail mode instead of stand-up mode. Most boards, as Tim mentioned, have a dip switch to indicate the mode. See our post on adjusting dip switch settings on the board for more information. Some games, Tim, like Miss Pac-Man, require that you ground a specific harness pin.
Okay.
So, like on Miss Pac-Man, you actually have to ground out pin 14 on the parts side in order to enable cocktail mode. And Tim, what we do a lot of times is we will run that wire directly under a screw or under a washer, which will ground it out, right?
Right.
And so if you do something like that, or you can run it to the ground on the power supply, that's also another way to do it. But basically, that's what tells the board, hey, I'm in cocktail mode instead of in standard mode.
Interesting.
So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so it just really depends on the game. Miss Pac-Man's a rarity. Most of the time, you're going to see a dip switch on there.
Okay.
So there you go. So David, hopefully answers your question. And again, we do not recommend sawing any games in half.
No.
So there you go. Tim, here we go. We say, let's see, crazy scene. Somebody, let's see here. Seahorses all night. Seahorses all night says he made his Miss Pac-Man into a snow cone machine.
Okay.
So YouTube Punk says just say no. Super Goya says, oh no, don't do this at all. Okay, so I mean, obviously, don't recommend that. Don't recommend turning Miss Pac-Man cabinets into snow cone machines.
No,
not at all. So there you go. Now, Spunky just chimed in here, Tim. Spunky Bruiser, he says, okay, so I feel like an idiot, but my monitor is a 4600. The last two is where I put the two sync cables on my Molex connector. Is that where they should go for the 61 game on my jam? I'm glad I tuned in. Tim, I'm not sure on the 4600 exactly which ones are the negative and the positive sync. It may have composite sync.
I'm not sure offhand either. If anybody knows in the chat room and can answer or can Google that, help him with that.
Right, because I'm not.
That would be good.
Man,
I'd have to look it up.
We should know that, but I'm pretty sure that one of those may be a composite negative and a composite positive, or they could just be both composite negative.
Right.
So I'm not for sure without looking at like a schematic or something like that.
Yes.
So absolutely. Let's see. Oh, here you go. Seahorses All Night says, I'll send you my plans for the PacCone 2000 Pac-Man snow cone machine. So there you go. We will get our plans for it for sure. Okay, so Tim, Spunky Bruiser, we'll get on that here in a second if we get a little time. Maybe we're going to play a video here in a little bit, so maybe when we play that, we can do that. Well, go ahead.
We talked about rights. Maybe David owns a patent on that.
Yeah, that's right. You just never know. So now we'll say Matty Mo's Arcade says, happy birthday, Tim. Thanks for the plug last month. And of course, we gave him a plug in our YouTube section of last month's show. So Matt, thanks for joining us tonight and for being here. Okay, Tim, let's go ahead and move to our next question, which is from Chris. So here we go. Looking for some advice if you guys have a minute. I recently picked up a Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet. Right now it's playing blind. The main problem is that I can't figure out how to open it. There doesn't seem to be an obvious way to do it. I'm including a few pictures. Any help would be most appreciated. Best regards, Chris. And Tim, I have the pictures here. So this is the Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet he's got. Now you'll notice that the first picture's of the front, the second two are of the back, but you'll notice there's no back door on this thing.
Right.
Okay? There's just no back door on it. Okay? So, I mean, obviously that's a problem, Tim. How do we get into a game that has no back door?
Well, you got to go through a door somehow.
That's right. Well, guess what? Live demonstration time, Tim.
Okay.
We're going to do it right now. Okay, I'm going to switch it over here. Side camera. Boom. Okay, so this cabinet here. Oh, Tim's got paper on his... Okay, here we are. Are we here? Hey. Oh. Okay, there you go. Technical difficulties, people. Okay, is it going to stay? It may not. Tim, you may have to show us. So
okay.
If I do that, will it stay? Technical difficulties. Okay. You would think, with the way that this is all hooked up, it was bouncing earlier. It's just the way that the weight is. Hang on. Okay. Everybody's like, what are you doing to the sound? Here we go. Okay. I think I'm just going to have to hold it.
All right. So, is this unlocked?
Yeah, no, it is not, Tim. But you can just kind of demonstrate. So basically, what Tim has to do. Here, I'll hold this. So Tim, basically, what we have to do here is we have to unlock the coin door, right?
Yes.
Now, if we can't get into the coin door now, we may have to drill that lock out, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the deal, though. We can get into this one because I have a key.
Okay.
So there you go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open up the coin door real quick. I'm pretty sure it's that key. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you'll do is you'll actually go down and you will reach up. Tim, I've already unlatched it for you.
Okay.
But you will reach up and you will unlatch 2 latches on either side of the control panel.
And over here.
Right, so he'll unlatch those. They're already unlatched. And then you will pull it out.
Let's see, it goes, it's a shelf, isn't it?
Yes, it does.
So it goes
pulls
like,
up. There
like
you go.
that.
Okay, and you can move out of the way real quick. We'll show everybody. So this is what happens. And so this is the shelf system. And Tim, this one actually has a removable control panel. You can put that on the cocktail behind you.
That's
and
interesting.
so when you open up the cabinet, this one's empty, but normally you'd have the board right here, and then you would have the power supply, you'd have all the buttons and everything like that, okay? Now, Tim, you may be saying, how do I get to my monitor?
Right.
There is no back door to this thing. So let's go ahead and take out the bezel real quick. Okay, so you will remove the bezel.
If it gets unstuck.
Yeah, you have to pull this one pretty hard. Oh, hang on.
Really hard.
You may have to wiggle it a little bit. It will come out because I've gotten it out before. There it is.
Like Elisha.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we get for not doing it ahead of time. Okay, so here is the monitor. Okay, so you'll notice here that there's this little spring thing down here. You see this, Tim? Okay. Now, and it actually has some little holes here and some little screws. But you can actually, and this one, I think it's bolted in right now. But this whole thing will fold down, and that's how you work on it. Correct. So you might see if you can do it real quick. It may not. I can't remember if it's
screwed in here.
It is screwed in. Okay, I can't remember if it is or not.
Bolted in.
Right. So it's
you take out the 2 bolts, and
then
this
actually folds down. Correct. So that's how you get into this thing, and it's a major pain. Now, Tim always says he doesn't like the shelf system.
I do not like them.
When he's thinking shelf system, he's definitely thinking about this one. Because this is the one that's really rough. I have replaced this monitor in here before, and it's a lot of hard work, okay? But this is one of the hardest ones. And, Tim, I call this a flat Z-back, okay? Because we see a lot of Z-backs. It's not a traditional Z-back cabinet like what we have. Because the traditional Z-back usually has a little back window that you can open up, a little tiny one, okay? But this one just has a flat back, and then has a little Z on the end. And so I call this like a flat Z-back cabinet. But yeah, that's the only way to get to the monitor, though, is to literally pull this, and then that whole thing will come forward. Actually, yeah, it looks like it's right here, that little...
Yeah, and your bezel...
Yeah, it's right here. If you just took that off right there, I think the whole thing would come forward, and we can try it real quick. I think that's all it is, Tim. You want to get that real quick?
Yeah.
I'll hold on to the back, get the washer. See, this is what we do for not doing prep. But everybody gets to see how it works, so...
Okay, it's loose.
Yeah, and you can go ahead and... Well, can you get the washer off of it?
Washer off.
What about now? Can you get him now?
Yeah. Nope.
Go in and then come back out again. Got it. Okay, and here's this. Okay, here you go. So there's that. Now, you can actually see it come forward a little bit. You may have to, like, wiggle it a little bit to really get to come out.
Yeah, I think it locks down here.
Yeah, be careful with it. But yeah, you pull that whole thing, and that whole thing actually comes forward and just kind of falls forward, and then you can work on the chassis and everything.
Or you just take the bolts out if you have to.
Right, you can see here where it's actually rubbed from doing the little...
oh, yeah, it's really tight.
Right, exactly. So it's really tight in there. But that's how you do it. So basically you have to come up through the coin door, Tim. You'll have to unlatch the control panel, which will be on the sides.
I don't know if can they see the latches here?
Well, and you see this one, I don't think this one has the latches. This one actually has the little things on the side. It has latches on the underneath, the little like door type latches.
Yeah, it's kind of like a door lock.
Correct, like a door lock. So it has 2 door latches on the sides that you'll undo.
Like an old bathroom door at your grandma's house or something. Where
Correct, so you'll undo those 2 latches, and then you'll be able to pull the whole thing out, and then you'll be able to pull the monitor forward. But yeah, this is the same kind of cabinet, so we just wanted to show that, Tim, to the audience. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move back over, and Tim, I'll try to not break anything while I move the microphone over. Hopefully it'll stay still for the rest of the thing here. I had it weighted just right. There we go. Okay, we're coming back over. Okay, what did we miss? Okay, here we go. Are we back?
Yes.
Hey, we're back. Okay, so there you go. So that's how that cabinet opens, Chris. So basically, you have to somehow get into the coin door. And Tim, if you don't have a key to it like we happen to have, you will need to drill the lock out.
We have a video on that.
Yes, we do. So replacing a coin door lock. If you want to check that out, we actually show how to drill the lock out. Once the lock is drilled, you'll open the door. You'll undo the 2 door-like latches that are on the bottom of the control panel. You'll pull the control panel out. Okay, you'll remove the bezel, and then you can bring the monitor forward. It's a big pain, Tim. It's actually a really hard cabinet to work on. And like I said, I like to call it a flat Z-back, and I'll go ahead and show the thing here. From your pictures, it looks like you have what I refer to as a flat Z-back cabinet. Unfortunately, this cabinet does not have a back door like most cabinets, which means that you will have to access everything through the front of the cabinet. And Tim, this is the exact reason why you don't like shelf cabinets, right?
Yes, I'm not a big fan, just because I like to be able to sit down behind it and sit on a stool or something and work on stuff.
Exactly.
Like a Miss Pac-Man cabinet, just got lots of room in
And
there.
this is the only cabinet I have like this. The rest of my cabinets all have a back door that you can get into very easily, but this little flat Z-back type cabinet does not.
But I know that like in this game's particular instance, you like it because you can swap out boards real quick.
You can actually swap out the entire control panel. That's a separate control panel from the one that's usually on it. It's Dungeons & Dragons Tower of Doom, which is a 4-player control panel, Tim. So so basically, you can swap out just that control panel and have a whole new game.
Yes.
I mean, because the power supply is on that control panel, the everything is on that control panel, basically, except for the monitor and the monitor power. So, I mean, you basically can swap that out and get access to everything. So, there you go. So, Chris, hopefully answers your question. And good luck getting your Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet open. If you still have questions about it, let us know, and we'll try to answer them accordingly. So,
okay.
I want to get into the chat here. Let's see. Make a door, somebody says. YouTube Kool-Aid Man style that doesn't look like a dedicated Mortal Kombat 2 probably conversion. That is correct. It is a conversion cabinet. It is not a dedicated Mortal Kombat 2. Let's see. I haven't seen that cab before. Matt says, what replacement can I use for a STR 383 voltage regulator on a G07 13-inch? Data sheet for it is in Japanese. And I have to look that up because I'm not sure offhand. Sorry about that, Mr. Silverball Mania. YouTube Punk says, blooper reel material in 3, 2, 1. I don't think we had much of a blooper thing. Seahorses All Night says, conversion class Starship. Retro Rumbo says, I think I just worked on a converted Raiden 2 like this last week. What a pain. I like how the board pulls out, though. Stumped me for a minute, though. Yeah, and you see, and this, Tim, this is a cabinet that will stump you. Yeah, absolutely will. If you've never seen it before, you have no idea. The first
time I ever bought one, I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? I can't even get in here.
Right, exactly. But you can do it, and to be honest with you, it's not that difficult. You can pull the entire monitor out pretty easy, in fact. And I've replaced the monitor in that cabinet, okay, just to give you an idea. So it can be done, but it is very difficult, and it is a big headache, okay? Right. So, I mean, if you can not buy the flat Z-bag type cabinets, I would recommend it. So go with something else if it's possible. But, Tim, sometimes you pickers, what is it? Beggars can't be choosers.
Right,
and so that's wherever you come across.
And there were conversion kits, so you're not tearing up a dedicated classic by switching a game. So there's another advantage of it.
Absolutely. It was a conversion class type cabinet.
Right. It was made
for kits. So there you go. So Chris, hopefully answers your question. Good luck getting your Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet open. Hopefully you can, and then you should be able to work on it from there. Tim, we have a question from Anthony. He says, when moving an arcade machine, what is the best way to go about this?
Well, depends on, Anthony, you can elaborate if you're talking about like moving it across town, across state. Town.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm being serious and not trying to be funny because there's a lot of differences I would do. If you're just talking about like picking up a game local, a lot of people don't like it, but we have probably moved over 100 games laying them on their back in a pickup. It's just, I can move one by myself that way. The ideal way would be a flatbed trailer and to keep it standing up. But at any rate, you just gotta have to make sure you check your connectors and stuff after you move it.
Right.
We joke about this. Sometimes you move one from one side of the game room to the other, and something will go wrong.
Right.
So imagine, I don't know what the roads are like in Connecticut, but here in Texas, we got some pretty rough roads. And you go to Louisiana, it's like driving in a ditch everywhere. So, it's like some of those roads can be really bumpy and a lot of stuff can get jarred loose. So, by all means, one thing we like to do is shrink wrap it. Right. Put a lot of shrink wrap around it. That just protects your artwork.
Well, and here's another advice I'm going to give you. Open up the back door if you can and secure everything before you tip it over backwards.
Right.
So make sure that the chassis is secured. Make sure that the board is secured. Make sure that if there's parts around there, you take them out. If you can pick them up out of the cabinet. Because
you can take your board and wrap it in plastic or something. Keep it up in the front seat with you. Or
as long as it's well secured in the cabinet, you're okay. But if
just
it's just
make sure it's good. Yeah.
Exactly. If it's flopping around back there, you never know what can happen. excuse me, Tim has stories of Popeye bezel, I believe, that he lost for not wrapping games.
Make sure it has a back door on it, because there's a lot of wind that will go through there.
Right.
And just we've lost games off a truck before. Just make sure
ratchet straps.
Yeah, that it's ratchet strapped really good. Hopefully that answers your question. If you got any more
if he needs any more detail on it, our friends Eric and Rusty actually cover this in the latest episode of the Question and Answer podcast that was posted today on our website. So we do recommend that you go check out Eric and Rusty's podcast episode, which I think, what episode is this, Tim? I should remember this. 68? 68? Yeah. Check out episode 68. They actually cover moving games in there.
Wow.
So there you go. So if you need some more detail, Anthony, you may check out the podcast and go from there. So, okay, Tim, let's move on to Nick. And question from Nick. Oh, no. I was hooking up my Player 1 ground wires to my JAMA harness, and the pin looks like it broke out of my harness. I really made a mess of my arcade now. Attached pick is the broken part. What do I do? Screwed in Bryan, Texas. And Tim, I like the Dear Abby type,
right.
Yeah, screwed in Bryan, Texas kind of thing. So, anyway, okay, obviously he was hooking up all of his JAMA wires, and he obviously had a harness, Tim, that already had all the wires coming out of it.
Yes.
Okay, so he bought like a JAMA harness, like we buy, and he's hooking up his ground wires, and then all of a sudden he pulls maybe a little bit too hard on the harness end, and boom!
It breaks.
It breaks, okay? So what can Nick do in order to repair his ground wires now that they've been pulled out of the harness connector?
Well, he's in luck, because they still sell the pins for that and the tools to crimp them with.
Right.
I believe that most games, like a monitor connector, is usually like a .156.
It sounds about right.
Molex connector. You're gonna HAP sells them. Most DigiKey, Allied, Mouser, most electronic stores still carry them. You're going to show a picture of it, Jonathan, so he'll know exactly.
Now, before you move on here, I just noticed that Eric just joined us in the live chat from the podcast. And Eric, we just gave you guys a plug. Anthony was asking us how we move games, right?
Yes.
And so we know that Eric talks about that in the latest episode of the Question and Answer podcast. So we were giving you guys a plug. Just wanted to let you know about that, Eric. And make sure you guys check that out.
And I know for a fact that Eric has moved at least 10 games.
At least 10.
Every day. For the past 18 years.
There you go. So he
definitely would be a good person to listen to that podcast and find out a little bit more. But back to the question.
Back to Nick's question. Sorry to interrupt you, Tim. Let's move on here.
It is a Molex connector, so you can get those. You can get them through a lot of our arcade suppliers, like Twisted Quarter, and a lot of those people carry HAP.
Okay, I'm going to throw this up here. Don't worry, Nick. This isn't a big deal because it happens fairly often, especially with cheap JAMA harnesses. In order to repair this issue, you will need to repin your ground wires and insert them back into your JAMA harness connector. You will need to obtain some push-in terminals for edge connectors, which, Tim, I think you said .156, and I think that's about right, which can be purchased from Twisted Quarter, or, Tim, they can be purchased from any arcade parts supplier for the most part. Once the terminals come in, you will crimp one onto your ground wires, insert the pin back into your connector until it clicks. Right, you get a nice satisfying click, and you'll be back in business. And Tim, I put a link down there, bit.ly/TQ-JAMA-pins. You can go there and get some new replacement JAMA pins.
In fact, the fact that it broke, it's kind of good that you know, because it could have had a bad connection or something, you not see it.
Right.
By the fact it broke, now you know you're going to have to replace it, and you can also make sure it's going to make a really good connection.
Sounds good. So, Nick, hopefully answers your question. We definitely think that you can get this one solved, hopefully without too many issues. And like we said, you'll just need to pick you up some of the push-in terminals for edge connectors, which Tim mentioned, I think, are .156 type connectors. And then once you get those, you'll crimp those onto your ground wires, put them back in your connector.
You're going to need a D-sub crimping tool. Will help a lot.
Yeah, it will. D-sub
you can do it with like a pair of needle nose or something, but a D-sub crimping or something made for that.
Right.
I think we have that on video.
We do. We show the D-sub crimping tool. So that's one way to crimp the terminal onto the wires.
Yeah, same as the Molex pins that we use. The crimp style pins crimp on the same way. So if you've seen that video, or if you want to go research and look at that video, then that will help you also a lot on how to crimp that properly, Nick.
Sounds good. So, Nick, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting those ground wires back in your JAMA harness. Now, Tim, YouTube Punk threw us $10 and said, spending money for Tim, happy birthday.
Oh,
hey,
well, thank
so there
you,
you go.
man.
You got some money for your birthday.
That's
so
really
if anybody
nice.
else wants to throw Tim money, we're all about that. So I'm just saying. Anyway, no, but happy birthday, Tim. So there you go.
Thank you very much.
Mike Gracie says, my width coil on my K4600 series monitor disintegrated when I tried to remove it for a recap. What can I do? Now, if it's totally gone, Tim.
Yeah, it's broke. You can just... It's soldered onto the board,
right?
So you can get a replacement. I'm surely somebody sells a replacement.
Some of these
but
though
I know
are really hard to get. And a lot of times I refer to Chad at ArcadeCup.com because he has a lot of parts because he works on a lot of monitors.
Okay.
And so you might try ArcadeCup.com, Chad's website, and then see if you can get one from him. It looks like Louis actually linked to something on Amazon here, and I'm not sure. Oh, the D-sub crimper.
Okay. Thank you,
Louis. And we were talking about the D-sub crimper on the last question, but for Mike. Yeah, check with Chad Arcade Cup and see if he has a replacement with coil. If he doesn't, you may be in tough luck because finding some of these chassis are getting really rare. It's really hard to find with coils for, and so you may just have to find another chassis to rob one off of.
Maybe.
Okay. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully hopefully Chad has one or has a resource where you can get them. But check ArcadeCup.com, see if he has one, or you may contact him, Tim, and see if he has one available as well. Okay, Tim, I think that does it for the questions. So let's get into some fun stuff. Okay, we got like the questions out of the way. Let's get into this one. And Tim, this is from Retro Amigo, which I think also goes by YouTube Punk. So he's also the one that gave us some money here. And this was one that he gave on Twitter, Tim. He says, on a recent episode of Arcade Hangout, Chris Gack said back in the 80s, Chuck E. Cheese had Tuesday night lock-ins. Do you guys remember those? Does Tim think this will ever be a thing again? Basically, it was an overnight lock-in where all the games were set to free play. Okay, Tim, so there you go. So, in your time at Chuck E. Cheese, which is substantial, we'll say that. We'll just be kind about it.
Yes.
How do you remember any of these overnight lock-ins? Now, I know you've been locked in there overnight.
Right. Yes,
okay,
I
know that for
sure.
a fact because you've worked on games. You've done game installs overnight. How many of those have you done?
And
probably 30, 40 of those, right?
Yes, so, and the next one coming up at my store is also known as Tim's Last Day on the job. No, I've heard of that, and I remember hearing some stories about that. But I know that you can rent them like early morning, like we open up a couple hours early for some people that really pay some pretty hefty prices.
Right.
And I know there was another Chuck E. Cheese. I'm probably, if you talk to your local manager, for the right price, and they would do it. And things have become a little bit lax on that. Like there's a little bit of autonomy with each store can do that. My boss would probably tell you no.
Right.
And probably my district manager would too, but somebody else might. So that has definitely been a thing of the past. I think there's probably some liability issues because one thing is you're not supposed to leave your children unattended.
Right.
So you would have to have adults there all night long with each child or set of children, and I don't see very many adults wanting to do that. So I kind of think that would be a thing of the past.
Yeah. Now, Tim, I did find one that actually happened back in 2015.
Okay.
Now, it wasn't an overnight one, and I'll throw the stuff up here. But we did a web search and found that a Chuck E. Cheese location in Knoxville, Tennessee, had a back-to-school lock-in event back in 2015. Admission was free for the first 400 people. Instead of having games on free play, each person got 40 tokens, 2 slices of pizza, and drink refills.
Okay.
Okay, and of course, this is not the same thing as the all-night free play lock-in that's being discussed in the question, but it does seem like something that Chuck E. Cheese is open to, like you mentioned, Tim.
Yeah.
Now, this was not overnight. This was from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Okay.
Okay, so that's like from 9 to midnight. Now, you guys close at what time?
We close at 10 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So that would be right after close. So basically renting it for like a 3-hour block right after close.
Right.
So, and I think the parents had to be with the kids here. It was a back to school lock-in. So, the parents had to come. You couldn't just bring your kid and drop them off. But,
and I can say just from being in a church youth group back in the day and going to all kinds of lock-ins, those things were awesome till about 2 o'clock.
That is true.
I don't know why they had them all night, because after that, people just started falling asleep, sleeping under benches in the gym floor or wherever. They just never seemed to really work past about 2 o'clock. So maybe a semi lock-in like that, 3 hours or something,
Right.
I think would probably be a good idea. And they probably could make some good deals. I think it would be great for an organization or let's say your kid's soccer team or something like that. I know that we have done events like that. They like to do them early morning, like on a Sunday,
Sure.
8 o'clock in the morning. You know, we do the sensory Sundays now.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that. If you children or somebody you know has autism or sensory issues, they can come in the first Sunday of the month for 2 hours and play with less lighting, no show going, game volume down, things like that, where it's a little bit more where they can come and not be as stressed out or have a bunch of kids around like on a Saturday and play and stuff. So you may not be aware of that, but if you have a local group and you know, it seems like 10 years ago you didn't know that. I mean, now it's like there's a lot of kids with autism or on the spectrum as we call it. So, you know, and some kids just don't like loud noise.
That's right.
Or they just don't like big crowds.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be a good time to take them. First Sunday of the month, usually 8 to 10 on Sundays. So check your local Chuck E. Cheese for that one.
Sounds good. So, Retro Amigo hopefully answers your question. Overnight lock-in's probably not a thing anymore with Chuck E. Cheese, but there are some opportunities to have lock-in type events there, right?
I have overnight lock-in. That's be it.
I was about to say, Tim
gone.
does it all the time. So.
Yeah, I go installing skee ball lanes overnight. That's a fun one.
Okay, so we have some questions here. Retro Rumble says, are width coils interchangeable between different chassis? I have a Sharp Image that needs a horizontally mounted flat coil, but I can't seem to find anywhere to order. Tim, it really depends. Sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. It depends on the chassis. A lot of the different types of K7000 models I've heard are somewhat interchangeable, but it really depends on which models you're trying to compare.
And some of it's just the way they won't line up right.
Exactly.
It's not so much that they wouldn't work, they just won't fit.
Yeah.
And look nice.
There you go.
But there is differences. I'm not going to go real technical with it, but yes, there is some differences, so be careful. Make sure that it is before you just go swapping another one in there.
There you go. Matty Mo's Arcade says, our arcade does an overnight lock-in on New Year's Eve. So
Okay.
there you go. So some arcades are still doing it. Anthony says arcade auctions are an awesome way to play tons of games for free. That is correct.
That is
when
right.
we were first starting, Tim, when you introduced me to arcade auctions, that was a great way for me to go and just play games.
Yep.
Because there's no way I could afford anything at that point. That's what happens when you're a poor college
Right.
student. So there you go. And then Richard Rumble says, my store may be able to do that. That may be a cool idea to try out. Anthony says, Knoxville, that's pretty close to me, about an hour away. So there you go.
Right.
Awesome. So I think we've caught up on the chat. We're going to continue on here, Tim. And the next thing we have is Tim's Tech Tip of the month. So let's go ahead and get into that. Tim, what is your Tech Tip of the month before we show the slide?
Well, we want to talk about soldering. And by now, everybody that's watching this, I'm sure, does plenty of soldering. Even if you're new, you've already probably picked up a soldering iron. But one thing that's really important is to keep that tip clean.
Absolutely.
And most soldering irons either come with a sponge, or what we're going to highly recommend is kind of a brass kind of Brillo pad sponge.
Right.
That looks like a Brillo pad or SOS kind of pad. Those will help keep the corrosion off there. One of the main problems with that is when you are soldering and you don't keep that tip clean, the next time you go to use it, a lot of oxidation, things will cause on there, and a lot of times it will smoke really bad,
Right.
which makes it hard to see. Or we have gotten into some chemicals. You guys who've been soldering a long time can tell you it'll burn their eyes,
Right.
or something like that. So a couple tips that we want to throw out about that, and you want to go ahead and show the slide, John, if you want to.
So I'll go ahead and read it too. Many soldering stations come with a sponge, Tim, to help clean the corrosion off the tip of your soldering iron. If you have a standard sponge, make sure that it is wet before you start soldering. Wiping your iron on a dry sponge can cause damage to the tip. And like Tim mentioned, we prefer the brass sponge. And Tim, we have a picture of both here. We have a picture of the brass on the left, standard sponge on the right. We prefer the brass sponge because it doesn't cool down the tip, and as such, puts less stress on the iron. That's the problem with like a regular sponge, Tim, is that it's wet. And so when you put the iron on it, it does clean it pretty well, but it cools it down, which means that you have to wait for it to heat back up a little bit. And then it also just cools down stuff, you know, and it doesn't cause damage to your iron necessarily, but it can take longer for you to get back to soldering.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
And I should say that you shouldn't wipe it on the sponge. You should literally kind of stab the sponge.
Right.
And so don't necessarily wipe the sponge, stab the sponge. Make sure your sponge is wet before you use that. If you're using the standard sponge. Here's the next problem with that. A wet sponge, it just sits there and dries, and you wet it again, it dries, wet again, it dries. Eventually, a lot of bacteria and stuff will build up on a sponge.
Right.
So that's why we highly recommend that you use the brass style, more that you see on the left of your picture right here.
And regardless of the sponge, though, Tim, make sure that you wipe your iron periodically. This will allow you to solder much more quickly and cleanly. And
yes.
That's what it really comes down to.
You want to keep the end of your soldering iron tinned, or a little solder on there. It'll be a real shiny silver. Should look good.
Right.
Especially if you're using that brass sponge. It's actually just cleaning it every time, keeps it good and clean. That will keep it from smoking, and more importantly, keep you from burning old stuff and just glue and stuff that can sometimes get on there and burn. It'll really burn your eyes. So that's my tip of the month, that if you guys, number one, if you're not using any kind of sponge, you need to make sure that you are. I see a lot of techs just grab a soldering iron, solder, put it back up. They never clean the tip. They never do this. So make sure that you're doing this. It's very important. And then if you've been doing this for a while, I would highly recommend that you upgrade that sponge on the right side, the normal,
I'll put it back
the normal sponge. It's just $3 or $4 from Hap. The other one's about $10. But it's well worth it, and you can search both of those. I know in fact, I just ordered the brass one today because mine had worn out, and actually either worn out or lost because I couldn't find it today, but it was about worn out anyway, so I ordered another one today. I think it was about $11 or $12 a Haiku, so it was a good brand. Anyway, that's my tech tip. If you're not familiar with using a sponge, keeping your tip clean, please start to do so.
There you go. So, Tim, thank you for that tech tip this month.
You're welcome.
And, guys, now, Tim, we're going to get back into what we kind of talked about last month. Last month, we talked about how YouTube is kind of putting the squeeze on some of the small creators out there.
Yes.
And we played 3 videos, one from Matty Mo's Arcade, who's here with us tonight, and a couple others from some other people to help support these channels. And, Tim, we had another submission this month, and this one is from Lee. And Lee does world record runs of fighting games, arcade fighting games. And so we're going to play kind of a short clip, Tim. It's most of the video is here, but we cut out kind of the part where he was playing through the game.
Okay.
We're going to play a short clip of Lee's video, but here's all the details about that real quick so you guys can see. So this is a Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 world record run, 7 minutes 43 seconds, I think. Lee Woods at Lowry Parcade, it looks like. This was submitted by Lee, and Lee's channel, Tim, focuses on playthroughs of arcade fighting games, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, etc. The YouTube channel name is Lee Woods, and there is the link, which can be found in the show notes, Tim, once we post this on our website. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to play Lee's video real quick, and we're going to show you, Tim, this world record run. Now we did cut a little bit of this, okay? It's not the whole video. But I think one thing that's cool, Tim, is he actually goes through the test menu as well and shows some things. Oh, Lee's actually here. So there you go. We're going to play your video real quick. Now, like I said, we cut this a little bit just for time purposes, but we're going to play a little bit of this world record run through by Lee. If you want to see the full thing, make sure that you visit his YouTube channel. But guys, let's go ahead and play this real quick, and then we'll move on with the rest of the show. Here we go.
Name's Lee Woods. I'm attempting the world record for fastest completion on Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 at Lowry Parcade in Tampa. Board. Don't hit the tripod. Back up just like this. Good.
Tell me when it's happening. Huh?
1.2. All dip switches on. Very hard. Selecting power now.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim, that was it. So now, that wasn't the whole video. If you want to see the whole video, you got to go to his YouTube channel. We're going to put the information back up here for Lee's YouTube channel. But again, we'll have the link, Tim, in the show notes. So once it gets posted on our website tomorrow, we'll actually put the link up there. And it may be in the show notes down below. I'm not for sure. But you guys make sure you check out Lee's channel, especially if you're interested, Tim, in world record playthroughs. It sounds like he actually has quite a few in there. So Lee, thank you for submitting your channel. And guys, remember, if you have a YouTube video... If you have a YouTube channel that has arcade-related videos, we want your videos, right, Tim? In fact, I see your little Uncle Sam here. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. And Tim, it doesn't have to be repair. We've mentioned that before. It just has to be related.
In fact, I really enjoyed that video just as something different, you know?
Exactly. So,
I love to watch a real gamer that's really good at it, and Lee's awesome.
Exactly. So there you go. So send your link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure to put a plug into for your channel so people will know where to find you. We are looking forward to seeing your submissions. And Tim, we've already had about 4 or 5 submissions so far, and just to give you an idea. And so we're so glad that Lee is there. Oh, you're welcome for the plug, Lee. Thank you for submitting your channel. We're glad you're a fan of ours, so we wanted to plug your stuff as well. So you guys make sure you go over to Lee's channel, check it out, and subscribe, Tim. That's what we want you to do. We want to give you as many opportunities as you can to subscribe to Lee's channel. Great arcade-related content there, right?
And you need to come to Texas and play Jonathan because he always beats me.
But you're probably way better than I am. So
I would want to see somebody just whack you.
I see how it is.
Okay.
So, there you go. So we had a couple of things in the chat here. And, of course, Lee says he tries to show as much as possible to show it's a legit run and everything. Really great stuff. And, really cool stuff. So I really need a Mortal Kombat 1 or 2. We are holding an expo this weekend with Daniel Pacina from MK1 and MK2. And all we have at our shop is MK4. And MK4 doesn't use the actors,
wow.
Tim. I don't know if you knew that.
Didn't remember that.
There you go. So, but anyway, guys, so check out Lee's videos, some great stuff there. And we'll put the link in the show notes, Tim, on the website. And we'll also put it in the link for the video if you guys are watching this after the fact. So there you go. Okay, Tim, let's get to some news real quick, okay? And so the first thing we had here, Tim, is something that we had a lot of opinions on, believe it or not. Okay, so we'll go ahead and bring this up. Oh, somebody said they subscribed. Matty Mo subscribed to Lee's channel. We already got some people. Look at that. I love it. Spreading the subscriber love, Tim. That's what I'm talking about. So here we go. Okay, so this has been real controversial, Tim.
Okay.
This Arcade 1-Up cabinet. So basically, Arcade 1-Up is a company that wants to bring Street Fighter 2 and other classics to your home. Okay, so these Arcade 1-Up cabinets will be released this fall, Tim, fall 2018. And the cabinets are 4 feet tall. Okay, 4 feet tall.
Okay.
Come with a 17-inch LCD screen and cost $400. Now, that price does not include assembly. Buyer must put the machines together. Okay, now you can see the pictures there, Tim. All of these games have multiple games on them.
Right.
Okay, so it's like the Centipede has Centipede Missile Command and a couple others. The Asteroids has like Asteroids. It looks like it has Tempest and looks like it has some others, okay? So all of these cabinets come with multiple games. Okay, so here's the deal though, Tim. I don't know what to think about these things, okay? This is pretty interesting. So I thought we would come up with a new segment. Okay.
News segment.
Okay, and we are going to call this segment Arcade Debate.
All right.
Okay, and the debate topic tonight, Tim, are the upcoming arcade 1-up cabinets worth the $400 price? And here, Tim, here we go. Check it out. I feel like we're on CNN.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in my box, you're in your box. Okay, so we're going to get the chat involved in this as well. So the question, guys, are the upcoming arcade 1-up cabinets worth the $400 price tag? Now, Tim, let's go ahead and go over the details of these one more time. Okay, so they're 4 feet tall.
Okay.
17-inch LCD
Right.
screen. They have multiple games, okay? But you have to assemble them yourself, and they cost $400, okay?
Okay.
So, Tim, do you think that the arcade 1-up cabinets are worth the $400 price tag?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay,
No.
not worth the $400
No.
price tag. Well, Tim, I am going to debate you on this because I think that they are worth the $400 price tag.
Well, we've been through this before.
Okay.
We saw these games at Sam's and everywhere else that had the little bitty...
We're not actually next to each other.
It had the 13-inch screen, but this is now a 17. I'm sure it's a cheap LCD. And then you got to put it together yourself. I bet it's flimsy. We don't know anything about it. We haven't seen one yet, but I guarantee it doesn't look very sturdy. And it's 4 feet tall. What am I, 5 foot myself? What am I going to do? I'm going to have to sit down. They might as well made a cocktail version.
Okay, well, I'm going to rebut you here, Tim. $400 for a lot of people is not a bad price at all. Now, you gotta also consider you're getting multiple games with this, Tim. It's not just one game that you're getting. So you're getting 4 or 5 games maybe in this one cabinet. A lot of people have trouble finding arcade cabinets, Tim. And when you find arcade cabinets now, they're expensive. Okay, wherever you go, it doesn't seem like you can touch a working arcade cabinet for less than $500, okay? So here, for $400, you're getting a cabinet, Tim, that works. Okay, it looks nice, has great artwork.
It might work if you know what you're doing putting it together.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing. It could also create an opportunity for somebody to assemble this, right? I mean, so there's also that. I mean, here's the deal. When you buy a swing set, how many of you guys put it together and how many of you guys get it assembled? That's what I'm saying. So I think a lot of people, Tim, are going to buy this from a store where they're going to have it assembled for them. So there may be an extra cost on top of it. I'll give you that. But I still think for what you're getting, multiple games, nice LCD screen, nice cabinetry, it is a little small at 4 feet. I'll give you that. It's a little small, okay? But if you're mostly if you mostly have kids that are playing with this, that's a perfect size for them to introduce them. And Tim, when you're selling this cabinet to your wife, when you're selling this cabinet to your wife, are you selling it? You're selling it to her because of the kids. You're like, oh, the kids, they can be exposed to the classic games that I was exposed to when I was a kid. And, I might have to sit down to play it, but it's worth it for an arcade experience. So, Tim, for me, I think it is absolutely worth the $400. Do you have anything to rebut?
Yes, because you can buy a kit and put a 60 in one and have a realistic-looking arcade game for just a little bit more. In fact, I'll show you what you have with that game, Jonathan. You have this 3 feet taller. Yeah, this 3 feet taller. That's what you got.
3 feet taller. Tim, 3 feet taller is a lot of feet. I'm just saying, that's a lot of feet. I think for $400, you're getting a good value here. The putting it together may be difficult, but Tim, how many of us have put together a piece of IKEA furniture? That's all I've got to say. I mean, how many of us put together furniture all the time? I'm sure this thing's going to be cam-like together. Tim, look at the offerings that we have. A 60-in-1 nice cocktail cabinet. If you buy a kit from Holland Computers, okay, those are really nice cabinets, but how much do they cost? They're $700. For the price, you could almost get 2 of these cabinets.
But they look like an arcade game. They don't look like a
They look like a cocktail game. At least this one looks like a stand-up arcade cabinet. I will give you that it is smaller, but still, I think that for $400, you're getting great value here.
So are they selling any off the bat, like a pre-sale?
Well, not so far. There's no pre-sales yet, but we'll be excited to see when they do come out what people think of them. Tim, you're right, though. Some other companies have tried this in the past, right? But they sold them.
We're going to end this debate really quick.
Oh, okay,
are you buying one?
Okay, I am not buying one.
There you go.
But am I the target buyer for it? That's what I'm saying. No, exactly. If you have arcade cabinets in your house right now, you're probably not the target buyer for this. If you're a guy, though, Tim, like you, that grew up in the arcade but doesn't have any arcade cabinets, you're always talking about how you have no space. Okay, this gives you some space. It's a small cabinet, and it fits in a nice, tight area of your house. And since it's so small, you can convince your wife it's for the kids. That's all I got.
6 months from now, flea markets. That's where they're going to be, flea markets.
So there you go, guys. Okay, well, I think
What's the chat room
I was about to
think?
say, we'll read some of the chat here, guys, but I thought it was a great segment, Tim.
Yeah,
Good debate, okay, here, fist bump.
And for
across
what
the screens, there you go.
For what it's worth, it's really not that bad a deal.
No.
$400. If it was $800,
Hey, but
I
4
wouldn't
feet
be
is
with it.
small, okay? 4 feet is small, but somebody we have to take different size.
Right, what
That's
does the
how it
chat
works.
room think?
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's continue on here. Okay, man, we have a lot of I have to scroll up. Okay, I have to scroll up. Okay, let's see. We're continuing on here. Let's see. I have to go all the way up. You guys have been talking like this. Let's see. YouTube Punk says 4 feet. I agree, the 4 feet. No way. What are they smoking? LOL, just get a Pandora's box, okay?
Yeah.
But the problem with the Pandora's box, Tim, is it doesn't give you an arcade feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a joystick.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a cabinet. This is giving you an arcade cabinet to me. I think that's a good deal. Richard Rumble says 4 feet seems small, but it's a cool concept, I guess. Hopefully the video scales right on the LCD. Super Goya 2001 says the Pandora's box is a Chinese bootleg board. They could get in trouble if they use them. And that is correct, okay? The 16-1 and things are technically bootleg Chinese boards, Tim. As far as we know, this thing is going to be fully licensed.
Okay.
Okay, so that's something
That
think
would
about.
be beneficial to have.
Right, exactly.
To
Richard
know
Rumble
if you want
says,
to sell it.
Yeah, Richard Rumble said, I get the real thing, of course. That's the thing, though, Tim. This is not for people who are going to get the real thing.
Right.
This is for people who are going to get, they want the arcade experience, but they don't have an arcade now, right? That's what it comes down to. YouTube Punk says, cut his mic. I don't know if he's talking about me or him. Or me or you. So there you go. That was going on. Are the ROMs legal? Okay, well, apparently they're working out licensing deals for this, as far as we know. So there you go. Let's continue on here.
So there's not going to be any...
no legal issues with it.
There's not going to be any Nintendo games on there then, probably.
No. I don't think
Because they're not going to be able to afford the legals.
That is correct. Let's see. Lee says, no, they just muddy up the market as to what's valuable. Buy cabinet boards that you like. Mike Gracie says, good for my kids. That's my whole point, Mike. You're in with me. Great. Richard Rumbo says, the ROMs on the Pandora's box are not legal. These, I assuming, are licensed. And that is correct. So Pandora's box, illegal ROMs, these are fully licensed according to the company.
You put that thing in Chuck E. Cheese, them kids will tear it up in a week.
Well, we all know that. But, I mean, that's not made for Chuck E. Cheese, Tim. That's what we also know. Let's see. I would say they're worth $400 if they had a decent cabinet, real arcade parts, and fully assembled. They're not fully assembled.
Right.
Okay, but apparently the arcade parts will be good. Let's see what else we have here. YouTube Punk assembly required. Retro Rumble. A few years back, there was something called the Game Room Classics or something that did a Tato SNK bar top with licensed games, 13-inch JAMA. I have seen those, Tim, before. Have you seen those? So, I mean, they were very popular. I think they were kind of pricey, though.
Yeah.
I think they may have been even more expensive than this. Let's see. Anthony says, don't think 16-1s are legal either, but everybody uses them. And that's about right. Yep, 16-1s, exactly. Let's see. I actually modded one of those with a Pi. So somebody used a Raspberry Pi on the little, the Tato Game Room Classics ones. There you go. Let's see. Lee, I like this segment with the 2 windows. I do too. I feel like I'm on CNN. Seriously, we even had the little thing at the bottom. Check that out. So there we go. Haha, me too. Let's see. It's what I use for my MAME setup. Okay, somebody used something like that. Tim, we have a lot of them here. I bet it's like that little junk Konami multiplayer. Yeah, I remember the Konami multiplayers. That's what I was thinking about. Seems a little taller, though. Maybe a little bit wider. The artwork looks better, too. Casual arcaders will probably like this. Retro Rumble. Let's see. The monitor is a little bright and a little out of adjustment on mine. Okay, he's still talking about his. Bam! Tim drops the mic. So apparently you said something, Tim, that YouTube Punk agreed with. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's see. I wasn't able to get the Chinese monitor inside to sync right. Okay, that's something else. LOL. Sample games that will lead to buying a real arcade game. It's like a gateway drug. And Tim, maybe that's a great argument. You see, Tex JYT actually is throwing some arguments my way. You see, I like that. So Tex JYT, we're on the same team. Okay, Retro Rumble says, I agree. They'll be flea marketed like those crummy Williams cabs a few years ago. Okay, at the flea markets, Tim's point. I used a JPAC in 3. Okay, Super Goy is talking about how he converted. Michael says, late to the show, but I'm here. Welcome. You just missed a great segment. And there you go. And Anthony Durant says, how many games? As far as we know, Tim, it's going to be about 4 or so.
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay, Tim, are we done with the arcade debate?
I think we're done.
We'll leave it there, guys. If you have more comments about this, of course, you can leave them in the comment section of this YouTube video. But we want to thank you tonight for joining us in the arcade debate. And we'll be sure to do this, I think, every time, Tim. It's fun just being in a little window. So there you go. So, guys, thanks again. And we're going to go ahead and transition back to our normal show.
Oh, there's a window.
Oh, hey, you're getting out of the window. Don't do that. Okay. Whew. Much better. Oh, golly. I felt so cramped in there. Yeah. I don't know how I fit in those things. Okay, so anyway, let's continue on with the news here, Tim. And actually, we had a couple of other thoughts here on this. So let's go ahead and show those.
People said.
So Post said, if they sold the cabs as bare-bone kits, I'd be interested. I wonder if they use a JAMA harness or a different interface for the board. And that's a good question, Tim. Don't know at this point. Alexander says, the only thing really holding me back is the ease of creating my own with more flexibility. My grandparents, the well-off ones, had 2 pinball machines and a centipede machine back in the day, so having the roller and the art and the whole deal is very tempting. But I know it's a novelty and doesn't quite justify the price when housing a unit. Some solder, a handful of arcade buttons, an old monitor, a few copies of games, and Raspberry Pi can be had for less than $400. You know, a cabinet, though, Tim, would throw that, you know, cabinet would be expensive. Cabinets are usually expensive for a nice quality
it's
cabinet.
new.
Yeah, exactly. Aaron says, no control panels are flat. They're not real arcade machines. I don't see the point, really. Kevin says, as a finished product, you know, maybe. Full-size cabinets are expensive. I feel confident in my ability to make one on my own. And so those are some final thoughts, guys, on the arcade one-up cabinets. And Tim, next month we'll do another arcade debate. You'll take one side, I'll take the other, and we'll do it again. So, guys, thanks for joining us for that segment. Tim, I think it's a keeper. I think everybody likes our windows. Can I throw the windows back up? Oh, let me see. Oh, nope, not that one. Oh, this one? Hang on.
Okay, you did again.
I can't get out my square. Here we go. Okay, there you go. So we're going to go back to the main camera now. There we go. Okay, so guys, thanks for joining us for that segment. And Tim, let's go ahead and talk, because we teased early in the show, about a new Dave & Buster's strategy.
Yes.
Right? So let's talk about the strategy real quick. The strategy is Dave & Buster's is one way malls are filling all those empty Sears stores.
Ah.
Tim, you know Sears is closing stores at a fantastic rate.
In Kmart?
Okay, in Kmart. And so what are these malls going to fill them with? Well, this article says they're going to fill them with Dave & Buster's locations.
I wish ours would.
Dave & Buster's is seeking rapid unit expansion in 2018, forecasting growth of about 14% this year, or about 14 new locations. Tim, what does that mean? How many locations does Dave & Buster's have? Probably about 100, right? I mean, roughly.
Maybe around 100.
So, I mean,
Not
so they're looking at 14% growth this year, so about 14 new locations. Adding Dave & Buster's to malls has become important to landlords and real estate firms, especially as foot traffic in these locations continues to decline. And Tim, that's a good point. What's happening in the malls is that as Sears stores and JCPenney's and all these different stores vacate the mall, people start coming to the mall.
The brick and mortar locations are going away.
Exactly. And so what landlords need, like, you know, our mall here is owned by Simon. What they need is they need an anchor store, is what they call them. And so what Dave & Buster's has become is an anchor location, a replacement anchor location for all of the Sears stores that are going out of business.
Well, we love to go to Dave & Buster's in Frisco. It's in a big mall.
That is correct. Yes, it is. And most of them are located either in or near big malls.
Yes.
So there you go. And then the company is testing out an even smaller model of its typical Dave & Buster's layout in Arkansas this year. That location opened this week. Now, Tim, that's an interesting point because it sounds like Dave & Buster's may want to try to compete with Chuck E. Cheese by opening a smaller location. Because, I mean, if you compare a Dave & Buster's location to a Chuck E. Cheese, what's the one thing that you notice almost immediately is that the Dave & Buster's is like twice the size or more.
It's huge.
Right. But if Dave & Buster's can get into...
the food.
Exactly, and the food. If Dave & Buster's, though, can get into a smaller location types, they may be able to compete head-on with Chuck E. Cheese.
Maybe.
I mean, I know it's different.
It's
because,
just
I mean, they don't have a big
clientele.
Rat. Right, exactly. They don't have a big rat. But, I mean, you know, and there's something about that. But it's something to think about, Tim, that Dave & Buster's seems to be making a play for maybe smaller towns, something that they weren't necessarily interested in before.
That could be interesting for towns our size.
So if your Sears goes out of business in your town, Tim,
tell them.
Don't fret. Write Dave & Buster's, see if they'll move in, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a Dave & Buster's is way better than Sears, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at
I'm going to go ask our Sears if they'll go out of business sooner.
There you go. Retro Rumble says, I think that's a great idea. In our mall, Dave & Buster's will be our store. And then Super Great says, as long as the Dave & Buster's has the classic games in it. And Tim, that's the nice thing about Dave & Buster's. A lot of times they do have at least 2 or 3 classic games. They have a multi-Donkey Kong cabinet a lot of times. That has Mario Brothers Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong like Jr. or something like that. And then they'll usually have a Miss Pac-Man Galaga combo. So they'll have a couple of classics in there for you to play. And Tim, of course, now you have the world's largest Pac-Man. You have the Space Invaders cabinet.
Right.
You have a couple of other variations on classics in those as well. So... Okay, Tim. Well, let's go ahead and announce the Texas Pinball Festival 2018. And, Tim, we really want to plug this because it's a local show for us, right? And it's going to be March 16th through the 18th at the Embassy Suites Dallas Frisco Hotel and Convention Center in Frisco, Texas. Visit TexasPinball.com for more information. It's going to have over 400 games all on free play. A weekend pass, $65 for adults, $40 for kids at the door. And a single-day pass is also available. Varies by the day, Tim. Some of the guests include Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
From The Incredible Hulk, George Gomez, of course, designer at Stern, along with Steve Ritchie, Mark Ritchie, John Borg, Barry Ausler, Brian F. Collin, Joe Balser, and more. And Tim, I hate to say this, but we will not be at the show this year.
Yeah.
Okay, due to personal things. Of course, Tim, a lot of people know I just had a kid, and so that kind of puts a cramp on things as far as, trying to go to events like this. And then Tim has personal things that he has to deal with that weekend. But, Tim, we will have Arcade Repair Tip staff on the scene. Our friend Mark, who does a lot of Facebook moderation, has told me that he will be there and he will be posting pictures from the show on the Facebook page.
Awesome.
So if you guys stay tuned to our Facebook page, you can see what's going on there. And then, Tim, we also know that Eric and Rusty will be there from the Question and Answer podcast. And hopefully they're able to get some interviews and stuff that will be able to be used on the podcast.
Right.
So
good time for a good opportunity for some of you guys to meet them in person.
Right, exactly. So, but for the most part, we're not going to be there, but we will have Arcade Repair Tip staff there. But we do want to encourage you guys, if you're in the area, if you're anywhere near Frisco, to make it out to the Texas Pinball Festival. Tim, it's one of the most enjoyable and largest shows that you can go to. Right?
Yes.
I mean, it's a lot of fun, and all of the great pinball guys show up there now, which is great.
Yeah.
It's really fun. So anyway, guys, remember, Texas Pinball Festival, March 16th through the 18th. And Tim, we also know that Eric, if he's here in the live chat still, they did an interview with Ed Vanderveen, who's one of the organizers of the Texas Pinball Festival. So if you want to hear more about Texas Pinball Festival 2018, make sure you tune in to episode, 68 of the Question and Answer podcast with Eric and Rusty. 68. Pretty sure.
Okay.
There you go. So for more information. But again, TexasPinball.com, guys, for the Texas Pinball Festival 2018. Tim, anything else that you want to talk about arcade-wise before we move to the after show?
No.
We got a lot of topics for the after show.
Yes.
You want to tease anything for people as far as the after show goes?
We talked about a podcast.
We talked about a podcast.
That's more episodes than ours.
Oh, that's right. We may be talking about that. That may be later.
Okay.
And then what about Super Bowl? Winter Olympics? Maybe you watch some of that. We're going to be talking about what you did for Valentine's Day.
Okay.
You and your wife, and we'll talk about that. And Tim, I got my first smart speaker.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that as well, and some of the movies and TV shows we've been watching, and maybe some investment tips, because Tim's been on a roll lately.
Yeah.
So again, guys, this is all for entertainment purposes only. Okay, we can't advise you to buy anything.
Yeah.
But Tim has been investing some money, been telling me about it, and so we may talk about that as well. But that is all in the after show that comes right after this. Of course, non-arcade related topics, Tim, in that after show.
Correct.
So there you go. So let's get to the contact information before we wrap up the main show here, Tim. Guys, remember that you can contact us at our email address at questions@arcaderepairtips.com, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Put live show in the subject to get it mentioned on the show, of course. And Tim, you can also send any YouTube videos that you may want us to share.
Yes,
if they're
and
arcade
please
related.
do.
Yes, exactly. If they're arcade related YouTube channels, let us know about them and we'll promote them.
Or maybe you know somebody that's not watching that you think would be good. Maybe a friend of yours, tell them about it.
Absolutely.
It'd be a great way for them to promote theirs and for us to get some additional content that's different than just watching us.
Exactly. So questions@arcaderepairtips.com, guys. Put live show on the subject if you want to get it mentioned on the show. Tim, we have our YouTube page, but if you're watching the show, you probably know where it is.
Probably so.
So youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Comments from the last live show will be covered on the next episode. That's usually how it works. Tim, most of the comments, though, are just like, you did a good job. So,
okay.
I mean, we don't cover good job ones, but if you have questions and things, you can leave them there as well. Again, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Podcast@arcaderepairtips.com. Tim goes to our podcasting friends, Eric and Rusty, okay, who hosts the Question and Answer podcast, which we've already promoted twice on this episode. Once for more details about moving games.
Yes.
And again, for an interview with Ed Vanderveen from the Texas Pinball Festival. You can get all of that great content on the most recent episode of the Arcade Repair Tips Question and Answer podcast with Eric and Rusty.
Let me just say, Jonathan, I learn something every time I listen to their podcast.
There you go.
If you want to increase your arcade knowledge, by all means, you need to listen to these guys. They really are knowledgeable, but they're also very easy to understand and to follow.
There you go. So, again, you guys can subscribe by going to their iTunes page at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com. Or if you don't have iTunes, you can do the Stitcher Radio page at stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com as well. Subscribe on both those platforms and listen to Eric and Rusty as they talk about arcade repair-related topics. And then, guys, we have our social media pages. We have our Facebook page that's moderated by Louie and Mark, which we want to thank ever so much for doing that. If Louie's still in the chat, thank you, Louie, for all the hard work you put in. And thank you, Mark, for all of the posts he's been doing. Tim, a lot of the pinball posts that we've had recently are all from Mark.
Okay.
And so he will be covering the
Mark.
Texas Pinball Festival for us, of course. And so we want to thank Mark for his contributions, as well as Louie. And you can check out all of their stuff on Facebook at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com. And of course, Tim, all that stuff gets cross-posted to our Twitter page, and that's at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. So regardless of whether you're on Facebook or Twitter, same great content either way you go. Again, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com, twitter.arcaderepairtips.com for our Facebook and Twitter feeds, respectively. Now, Tim, I'm going to go to the chat one more time before we move on here. Let's see. Michael says, we didn't need CGI when we were kids. We had Lou Ferrigno. And that's right. We didn't need the CGI Hulk. That's right. Exactly, Michael. YouTube Punk says, bring your kid, Jonathan. Oh, man. Have you ever tried to bring a baby to something like Texas Pinball Festival?
A newborn.
That's right. You're not doing it, okay? Yeah. It just doesn't happen. Even my oldest daughter had a rough time last year. Right. We ended up leaving a little early because, I think she was just so overloaded, Tim, by everything that was going on. And so, until your kids get older, it's really hard for them, I think, to comprehend what's going on because it's so overwhelming. It's overwhelming to me, Tim, to walk in and see 400 games everywhere and all the people.
Is that 40,000 square feet?
Something like that. I have no idea. It's a lot of square feet. So
it's bigger than Dave and Buster's.
Retro Rumble says, I still haven't been able to make it to Pinball Expo. Closest I've been to is Super Auctions back in the day. Lee says, one day I'll try to make it out to Texas Pinball Expo. The closest thing we have is Free Play Florida, which is big, but I hear the expo is huge. And that's correct, man. The Texas Pinball Festival, Tim, more pinball machines in one place than I've ever seen
Everything
before.
is bigger in Texas.
There you go. And then Retro Rumble says, this is the first time I've been able to catch this. It's really cool. You guys have helped me so much over the past 2 years of learning. We're glad we could help you, Retro Rumble. Please tune in next month. Tim, when does this happen?
The first Thursday of the month.
First Thursday of the month at 5:30 Central Time. So, Tim, about a week before we start promoting on our YouTube page. So if you visit the YouTube page a week before, you'll see the reminder. You can set the reminder so that way you'll know when it happens. So There you go. And the next one, Tim, will be on the 4th, 5th? I don't know. Let me look real quick. The 5th. April the 5th at 5:30 will be the next one. So there you go.
That is very close to some other event.
I don't know what you're talking about. So there you go.
Jonathan's birthday.
There you go. So you want to show everybody what you got again for those just tuning in? So Tim's birthday is tomorrow. I got him some presents. He got a Joust Arcade Classics, game, mini arcade. So he got a couple of T-shirts. He got a nice Pac-Man one. Because, you can't have enough Pac-Man T-shirts.
No.
Just saying.
You can't have enough Atari T-shirts.
There you go. And there's a nice Atari one, too. And, Tim, that's like the old school 2600 style. You know what I'm saying? Love that. So,
Love it.
So, Tim, happy birthday.
Thank you.
One more time. And then Louis says, glad you like it, Retro Rumble. And Retro Rumble says, congratulations on little one. Thank you. So, guys, I think we're going to sign off here. Now, we have an after show coming up, which will be non-arcade related topics. If you guys want to stay tuned for that, we'll talk about some stuff. But otherwise, if this is where you're getting off, then thanks for joining us. And Tim, I guess we'll see you next month. Remember, here at Arcade Repair Tips, when we fix the game, we play the game. Take care, everybody, and good night. And we'll see you in the after show.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
And we're back. It was quicker than usual.
Yeah.
You know why? Because we didn't have to go to the restroom.
Didn't have to go.
That's right. Everybody was okay. So there you go. So Tim, this is the official after show. So this is the show that happens after the show, so we can talk about things that aren't arcade related.
Yeah.
Because sometimes a lot of you guys just want to hear the arcade related stuff, right?
Or just a story.
Exactly. So there you go. So this is non-arcade related talk. Now, Tim, last time we got together, I believe we discussed a certain Super bowl thing. And
Yeah.
we talked about who we wanted to win, and I
Yes.
believe they won.
They did win.
So I think me and Tim were both pulling for the Eagles, and the Eagles pulled it out.
They did. It was
So
a good-
congratulations
really
to the
good game,
Eagles.
though. Way better game than I thought it was.
Yes, way better game than I
great
thought it
game.
would be too. So it was a great game. We had a lot of fun watching it, Tim. Tim, my TV went out literally the day before the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
I've got my
I
old
didn't know
TV
that.
sitting right here. So and we had to go out and get another one, of
Wow.
course. So literally the day before the Super Bowl. TV
That's
went
the
out.
3D TV?
That's
this
the
year?
3D TV.
Wow.
So yeah, I had to go buy another one, and I did not get 3D this time.
Okay.
So 3D TVs are expensive now. I
Yeah.
don't know if you knew that, but I did get 4K with like Dolby Vision.
Okay.
So I've got like all the bells and whistles, but not that. So, but anyway, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles, and we hope we beat you next year.
Yes.
So, because me and Tim are both Cowboys fans.
Yes, we're going to beat the socks off the Super Bowl. And then we'll feel really good about ourselves because we beat the defending Super Bowl champion.
That's right, the
You know?
defending Super Bowl champion. So, but congratulations to all the Philly fans out there.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm glad that they
Did you hear it was like the largest crowd ever or something in Philadelphia?
in the parade? Or
Yeah, in the
whatever?
parade.
That
it was
doesn't
like,
surprise me.
It was crazy. So, anyway, and then they were, just in yesterday, they sobered up.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, so Super Bowl was good, Tim. You got to watch it. Did you go to a party? Did you watch it at your house? Or?
I was supposed to go to Texarkana because I was going to work all the next week. I was supposed to go that night, so I realized, it's a Super Bowl. And the boys were like, aren't we going to watch the Super Bowl? So it's like, okay. And then some friends are like, hey, are y'all watching? And they come up. And next thing I know, we had like buffalo wings and dips. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, I ended up driving the next day. I had to go out of town about 2.5 hours. So I was glad I stayed home and watched the whole thing. I thought I'll just leave it at halftime or something. No, it was good. It was really worth staying and watching.
Absolutely. I thought it was good too. Now, Tim, talking about sporting events, did you get to watch any of the Winter Olympics?
Yes, we watched quite a bit, actually. As some people know, we have a foreign exchange student staying with us from Germany. So he was rooting for the Germans.
I bet you like that men's ice hockey then.
He did like that. And a lot of different events, I felt like the U.S. did pretty good.
Did you watch the women's ice hockey? I did not stay up for it.
Oh my gosh! Have you seen the replay?
Yeah, I've seen the replay.
You've seen the girl with the, what does she call that? Oops, I did it again or something.
Right.
That is like the craziest hockey move. And I'm not a huge hockey fan, but oh my gosh, she faked everybody out. That was crazy. So that was worth watching.
Men's curling?
Men's curling, world champions.
World champions?
I bet you they're...
USA.
I mean, I'm like, where in the world would you actually go to watch curling in the United States? I don't know.
Apparently Minnesota, Duluth.
We got somebody from Connecticut here. Seriously.
Well, the reason,
I don't even know where you would go to see it.
Did you notice?
But I want to see this.
In the gold medal match, they had the Duluth, Minnesota curling team
Yeah.
in like a bar. So apparently, you
Yeah.
go to Duluth, Minnesota, you can see a
guess
lot of
so.
curling. So,
And but I will say, if we're going to be world champs, we got to get some better pants.
yeah, I think
The
so.
really good teams have really outstanding pants in the sport.
That's what it takes.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think you can only hold the top spot for so long with the pants that we wear.
There you go.
That's just my opinion.
I think you're probably right, Tim. So yeah, so I watched a lot of the Winter Olympics. We watched ski jump. I watched Shaun White get the gold in slopestyle.
Yeah, that was very.
So that was
very
really
good.
great. The only thing, a lot of people got onto him for dragging the flag on the ground. After it, so he held up the flag. And he dragged it on the ground. He's excited.
Yeah,
give him leeway.
I didn't see it as a protest type deal. It was more of a. I'm
But
just wrapped up
are.
in the moment. Yeah,
right, how people are. So, but yeah, I congratulations to Shaun White. I thought was awesome. I was trying to think of what else, Tim, we watched. We watched a lot of different events. Now, the ice skating, what happened?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, figure skating, we were terrible.
Yeah, we didn't shine too bad.
No, what did we get? Like 1 bronze, and then Lindsey Vonn. Oh, poor Lindsey Vonn. She was so hyped up and ended up getting like 1 bronze too.
Well, for a snow skier, she's like 80.
That's true.
She's not like. She's past her prime, but I think she's older than 30.
Right.
So it's like she really it takes a lot out of you. But you have those things where you just appreciate some of the people and the things that they do and the athletes, and watching some of the sports that I don't normally watch. I watched probably a lot more hockey than I normally would. It was good.
Yeah. So if you guys watch the Winter Olympics, tell us what events you watched. If you watched the Super Bowl, let us know who you're pulling for. I'm really curious, Tim, to see if anybody was pulling for the Patriots in there. Sorry, Patriots fans. You got a lot of Super Bowls. You'll live, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. Tim, what about Valentine's Day? So what did you and your wife do?
It seemed like we had something going almost every night that week, and it was like the one day where we didn't really have much going on. So I just got some steaks and grilled them at home, and we just kind of had a nice dinner and just relaxed and spent some time together at the house. And because everywhere you go to eat was just packed crazy, and it was just...
That's a normal night here. What are you talking about?
That
Not
is true.
Counting Valentine's Day.
And so, that was our opt-in. We're like, we can go out this weekend or something. And we did. I think we went to the movies later. In fact, she got me the Star Wars shirt for Valentine's.
There you go. It's a good Valentine's Day.
And, I did some flowers. But I was like, you have to know my wife, that steak dinner is like, that's like a great meal for her. And I cooked out on the grill, and she didn't have to do anything. So I think it went pretty well. What about you guys?
Well, Tim,
you had a baby just due any day. Then,
no,
right?
we already had the baby. In fact, by the time you guys were watching the last episode, he was already here.
That's why we didn't do it live.
Exactly.
Right.
That's why we didn't do it live, because we didn't know when he was coming, and he ended up coming before the last episode actually went live. So, so there you go. But, Tim, we had so many friends and family members and neighbors bring us food, and on Valentine's Day, we had one of Deirdre's friends brought us like a nice Valentine's Day meal from an Italian restaurant here, Mario's.
Oh, yeah.
And she actually brought us food from Mario's.
I had some friends from out of town, and they were asking where to go, and I told them to go to Mario's.
There you go.
That'd be my Valentine's choice, but I said, get reservations.
That's right, get reservations.
Crazy.
Yes,
and that's what they said. They said we had to wait, but it was well worth it.
So let me show what I got.
Okay.
I got running. So, okay. This is what I got for Valentine's Day.
You got a jam box?
I got a jam box. So this is a QFX X-Base. So it is designed to look like old school like 80s boombox.
That is cool.
So and it actually has USB and an SD card.
Oh, wow.
So, but it has a tape deck and it has a radio built in, little tuner. So I mean it's cheap. It's like $30.
Oh, that's
but it's
neat,
very nice. And hey man, you need retro boomboxes in your life. So there you go. And then I also got a mini arcade. Mine's a little bit different than yours. I got the Miss Pac-Man Tiny Arcade for you guys that can see it right there. There we go. So yours is bigger than mine. Okay. And they're both smaller than the arcade 1-up that we were talking about. Yeah. So there you go. But it also the screen comes on. Okay. You can see it in there. Let's see if we can get it. There you go. It's a little fuzzy.
So this is like the arcade 1-up version versus the real stand-up.
There you go. So this is it says the smallest fully functioning arcade game.
Wow.
So there you go.
Fully functioning.
So that's what
cool.
I got for Valentine's Day.
Pretty neat.
And I got my wife... she got some bath bombs.
Okay.
And of course she got flowers.
Can't go wrong with that.
Exactly. And she got flowers, and we all know how much flowers cost on Valentine's Day. Have you ever noticed that the price of flowers like quadruples on Valentine's Day? So there you go.
Except for the day after Valentine's Day.
That's right. That's discount flower day. Right.
Yes, it is. That's the engagement anniversary of us. I proposed on the 15th. That was my parents' wedding anniversary. So I chose the 15th. And so a lot of times, instead of doing Valentine's Day, we'll celebrate on the 15th.
There you go.
Everything's cheaper.
That's right. That's a great way to do it. That's right. There you go.
Or she knows it was.
Hopefully she's not watching right now. No. There you go. Okay, Spunky Bruiser says, this place was crazy when the Eagles won. I live in South Jersey. People were hyped for a long time. Just hope the monkey off the back will settle Eagles fans down some. And we do too. We do too. Congratulations to Eagles fans. They deserve to enjoy it, Tim.
They do.
Because I definitely savored all the ones in the 90s with the Cowboys.
I don't remember. It's been so long
ago.
It's
been a long time, but I do remember it. I remember watching those Super Bowls with friends. That's all I got to say. So, again, guys, if you want to chime in on anything we're talking about, make sure you chime in the live chat room. Tim, let's talk about smart speakers. And I got my first smart speaker. I've got a Alexa. This is a Amazon Tap. See?
Okay.
Oh, and you see, yes.
Amazon Tap. Alexa-enabled portable Bluetooth speaker. It's $140.71 total, including tax.
There you go.
Would you like to buy it?
No.
All right. I can now send more search results to Donathan's phone as an Amazon app notification.
There you go.
Would you like to try it?
No.
Okay. Let's see what else I can find.
Okay, it just doesn't show
up. Alexa, stop. Okay. Stop. Okay. So there you go. So what we can do is, Alexa, how do I fix an arcade game? Nope. Alexa, how do I fix an arcade game?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
That's why you need us.
That's why you need us, apparently. Alexa, there's some things Alexa doesn't know, Tim. So there you go. I will say this thing is awesome, though. Before the show, I was saying, like Alexa played Def Leppard and Journey, and Tim got to see that, and he was very impressed by it. Tim, it's super uber convenient, and in fact, this one, it's a tap, so it has a battery in it, and it has an MLB app, so I've actually been listening to spring training games on it. I can take it around the house and listen to it, and it's awesome. So these things are really cool. I like them.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised how well they work. Most of the time, you can say stuff and it does it pretty well. So if you guys have an Alexa or a Google Home or an Apple Home thing, then
I have it on my Kindle, and I just open my Kindle and say, "Hey, take me to Netflix."
Right, exactly.
And it pops up.
Just does it.
I want to watch something on Netflix, and it comes right up.
So these things are really cool, and I'm impressed. Tim, let's just say that. Okay, let's get into movie and TV talk. Or before we do that, do you want to talk about your investing stuff?
Yeah, kind of a funny story, Jonathan. You know the story, but one time when I was in college, I had a friend that was a day trader, and one day he's driving a new Corvette, and the next week he's walking. He's just either famine or feast. Well,
that's
with
what
this
day
guy.
trading is a lot of times.
And I was curious about some stuff he did, so one day he comes to me. Now, remember, this was back in college, so I won't tell my age, but this will give you an idea. And we were in college, and he said, "If you I need $1,000, I can turn it into $20,000."
That's a big jump. It's
yeah,
20
big
times
jump.
money.
And so I said, "Well, the problem is I don't have $1,000." He said, "Well, can you borrow it from your parents?" And I thought that was funny. Then he said, "Well, can you just get a bank loan, borrow it on a credit card, whatever you got to do. If you give me $1,000, I'll turn it into some money for you." And of course, I said, "No, I don't think so."
That's how every episode of American Greed starts, Tim, and I watch that a lot. I'm just saying.
Okay. Probably the Wolf of Wall Street, too. But
that's right.
Anyway, I turned him down, and I noticed he didn't come to school. And I finally, he got in contact with me. He said, "I'm not coming back to school. I am going into business for myself, and I'm going to do this more full-time." And so, knowing some things down the road, that stock that he bought was in a little company, a startup company called Pixar. Yeah. So then again, roll around to the late 90s, had opportunity to buy all the ones that you know now, Amazon, Google, Yahoo. Could have invested in all them, didn't do it again. So the opportunity presented itself right around Christmas time to invest in some cryptocurrency type stuff. And I thought to myself, if anybody ever tells me to invest in something, I'm going to do it, because it's all, and I know that I love to research. I love to do things. So I invested in that. It has not panned out yet, and we know this.
Yes.
We know that it's going to take time. So, but I could have bought Bitcoin a few years ago for $10.
That's true.
Could have bought it for 10 cents.
That's right.
But
could have mined it and not had to pay anything.
Exactly. So, those type of deals. So I started thinking about it. At my age, I'm not going to be able to work forever. I should do some investing. I've always had some ideas, and I'm always like tech stuff, and so I've been playing around with some stocks. And you introduced me to Robinhood, which I think is a great app.
I was about to say, let's go ahead and promote that here because it's so awesome. Robinhood is a free stock trading app. And so a lot of times, Tim, I mentioned on the show I own Dave & Buster's stock. That Dave & Buster's stock is in Robinhood.
Yes.
So Robinhood does not charge you any fees for making trades, but it does allow you to, what they do is they make interest off the money that's left over in your account after you're done buying stocks.
Yes.
So that's the way that they cover their costs. But as far as a basic stock trading platform goes, it's a great one to get started in investing.
So what you can do is you can start off with $5, or like me, $25.
And we don't get anything for promoting them here.
No, except for if you're interested, I will send you a link and we will both get a free stock. You'll find that out about Robinhood, people.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
right.
Sorry for the plug, but if you need a link, you need to see me. We both get a free stock.
Or you can see me. That's okay.
And they actually give away real stocks.
Hey, I'll throw that $10 into your Robinhood account.
Okay.
I got. You can see how fast you can turn it for me.
Okay. We'll put the challenge up to next month. I'll tell you what I turned that $10
That's right.
into.
We need to know what the $10 is going to be.
I have had a 400% increase this month.
That's pretty good.
I wish that would have been $400,000 I put in there, because I would be done.
But if you would have lost it all too, that's the thing about it.
It
high
is
risk,
true.
high reward.
Well, that's why you got to. There's two things that you got to do. You got to do, number one, your research. Know the company, because that's what a lot of people are talking right now. We talked about this, and we'll segue into this. The Spotify is going to come out with their IPO pretty soon.
IPO, for those people who don't know, initial public offering.
In other
this
words,
is when they first get...
You can get in on the ground floor.
Exactly. When they first get posted on the New York Stock Exchange, they are going to have an initial offering to the public. And whatever that price is, that's going to be set, usually it's set like a day before.
Maybe a few days. So what you can do is you can buy stock in Spotify, and the day it comes out, and normally it's going to rise. And if you hold on to it for a long time, they could be the next Google. Except for we have a problem with Spotify, and this is why I said you got to do your research.
Right.
Spotify's pluses are it has 70 million worldwide subscribers, 180 countries,
and it's a known quantity. People know.
Okay.
If I say Spotify to you, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So it has brand recognition.
Yeah, brand recognition. A lot of people are excited about it. I have a big problem with Spotify.
What's the problem?
Never made a profit.
How can it not make a profit with how many? 180
70 million subscribers, 180 countries. They've never made a profit.
How can they not make a profit? They've got, $10 a month from 80 million people.
Yes.
That's $800 million.
Think about that kind of money.
$800 million.
And they
That's
cannot
almost
make a profit.
$1 billion, and they can't make a profit.
We don't even make half of that, and we make a profit.
That's true.
No, we don't.
We do make a profit.
Oh, we do. Okay. But it's not. We don't have 70 million subscribers.
I did my taxes last year. We made $18.
There we go.
There you go.
Hey, that's better than losing money every month. If you want to invest in me, we'll talk about it.
There you go.
Maybe we should go on the stock exchange.
There you go.
We'd definitely be a penny stock.
But
anyway,
anyway, continue.
They've never made a profit because they pay royalties out
to music publishers, creators.
Writers, everything. I mean, songwriters. Everybody gets a cut. 73% of everything they make goes to the music industry,
which means they only have 27% to run the place.
All their tech people and all the management and the janitors and the light bill and everything else. I don't think they can make a profit at that. It's a horrible thing. Anyway, buy it quick, flip it later that day.
There you go.
That's what I'm going to do.
There you go.
Anyway, so, I am
Dropbox, too, has an IPO
Dropbox, I'm more excited about Dropbox. I do think they're a little more stable. I think that they have a little bit more to offer. Even though it's not the hottest, newest, trendiest thing, they do more success worldwide.
Yeah.
Dropbox does.
Yeah.
And so
they can be profitable, I think. And that's the difference. I think
they have the potential.
Right.
So anyway, been playing. If you play the stock market and you want to just throw some ideas at me sometime or something, or just talk shop about that, I would like to hear it because I really have enjoyed it. Now it's also it's fun when you're up, but I do have some stocks that aren't doing anything. But, sometimes you got to wait. Sometimes you got to be patient. But I am definitely a swing trading where I'm buying quick and selling really fast and just getting my profit and getting out of there. But there's some exciting technologies coming out.
Sure.
There's 5G's fixing to come out.
Sure.
There's more TVs and stuff. So I like to invest in the tech type stock. Tesla's rolling out more cars every day. Have you seen the new Tesla cars?
Yeah.
They're like $30,000.
Speaking of a company that doesn't make money.
They look awesome. That's true.
I was about to say.
That is true.
I love Tesla. Don't get me wrong. I have Tesla shirts. But I love Tesla.
But so much of it goes into research. And
and they're being subsidized by the government, too.
You also have wireless phone charging that's going to be hitting the market soon. So, if you like that kind of stuff, I think it's fun. I don't invest much in arcades these days, but I would own some Atari back in the day.
I told you I own Dave & Buster's, and since I bought it, it's got I've got like 3 or 4 times my money on it. Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely made it's definitely made me money. I wish I would have sold it when it was about $20 higher back before the end of the year.
Well, maybe with them buying all these Sears now, it'll go up.
Right.
So
they're going to get cheap rent for new locations.
Just a short story. Remember that you never want to invest more than you're willing to lose. So I don't put a lot of money into it, and I play, or what I'm making money off of is the profits I made from of. I'm just keep rolling it in.
Right. So it's house money at that point.
Yeah, I'm making 3 to 5 $10 a day, but it rolls up. Eventually, hopefully, I'll make some real money. And
Again, guys, Robinhood is the platform that you want. It's free to sign up, and it's a great way to get started in stock trading. So, now I don't keep your 401k or your retirement plan in Robinhood, but it's great. Like Tim said, if you got a little money around and you want to invest in something.
If you don't have a 401k or something, you really should do some type of investment, low risk. I think of stocks like Ford that pay good dividends. Right now, it's around $10 a share.
Right.
And this is some good places.
What's Ford's dividend? I didn't realize they paid
Ford
that.
pays dividends every quarter, and it's just a few. I don't know what it was last time, but let's say it's a quarter a share, and you own 10 shares. I mean, it's free money,
right?
Without really worrying about the stock going. It doesn't volatile as much.
Right.
Stuff I'm investing in.
Right. Exactly. All over.
Yeah. Way up, way down. But, to me, that's a little bit of fun if you do the research and if you're careful and if you know when to sell and when to buy. But be real careful. Don't take any investment advice from us. But, do your own, what we call DD. You want to do your due diligence. So, anyway, but it is fun if you're into that. Maybe you're really good at it. Maybe you've done this a while. You should contact me. And we can share some ideas or something. I just think it's fun.
There you go. Okay, Tim. Well, let's go ahead and talk about movies and TV shows, and then we're going to get out of here.
Okay.
So, some of the ones that I have been watching, I watched the movie I, Tonya.
Okay.
About Tonya Harding.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and it was really good. Now, here's the deal. It really makes her out to be what you think she is. Opportunist, and it's everybody else's fault.
Okay. I thought you were going to say it made it out like she was the victim or something.
No.
Okay.
Well, she tries to play it off like she's the victim, but she comes off basically blaming everybody else, right?
What platform do you watch this on?
Amazon. Yeah,
well,
you have to rent it. And,
yeah.
I was curious in
that.
it. Yeah, I was curious in it, so you guys can rent it on Amazon. But I, Tonya is the name of it, and it's up for some awards, some Academy Awards. I forget which ones, but if you're interested in the Tonya Harding story, it's worth a watch. It was entertaining.
Interesting.
So there you go. TV show wise, Tim, I've been watching. I said American Greed on CNBC.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite shows. They're all on Hulu.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you have Hulu, you can watch all of them, okay? And American Greed, I don't know what I find fascinating about people, but it's always some guy saying, I can triple your money, I can quadruple your money.
Yeah.
And then he runs a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
So, and Tim, Netflix has now released a show very similar to American Greed called Dirty Money.
Okay.
And the very first episode talks about Volkswagen's, the dirty diesel case.
Okay.
And it is very fascinating.
Still
oh my goodness.
the number one selling car in the world. After
I didn't realize
that.
that.
Yes, I heard that the other day. I'm like,
how?
Wow.
You need to watch that documentary.
Okay.
It's the very first episode of Dirty Money on Netflix.
Okay.
Okay, so I've watched the first and second one, maybe the third one, but there's like 6 episodes. They're over an hour. They're like an hour and a half long. It's like each one's almost like a movie.
Good.
Okay, but the one on Volkswagen was very eye-opening. I did not realize all the stuff, all the cover-up and everything. I mean, they didn't just lie about it. They lied about it, they lied about it, and they lied about it and lied about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
they lied about lying about it.
They lied about lying about it. It's just crazy. It'll make you never want to buy a Volkswagen again.
Wow.
I mean, when you watch it. And maybe like gasoline based,
right?
Volkswagen, but not a diesel. So
okay.
I've been watching Superstore. Tim, have you seen Superstore?
Never heard of it.
Superstore is on NBC, and it is like The Office, except it's about all these employees who work in a
a Sam's Club,
or a Walmart.
I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, except it's called Cloud9 is the name of the show, or the name of the little office building they work for. It's on its 3rd season. It's on NBC. New episodes coming up very soon. But my wife actually binge watched it all. I'm still trying to catch up. Superstore is very good, and of course DC's Legends of Tomorrow and some of the other DC shows that I watch are coming back very soon. Guys, if you have any shows or TV or movies or anything that you're watching, let us know in the live chat and we'll talk about those too. Tim, what have you been watching? Movies, TV shows?
I just wrapped up the 2nd season of The Colony.
Okay.
Have you ever seen The Colony?
I think you told us about The Colony on one of the other
Josh Hamilton plays, a lot of people know him as Sawyer from Lost.
Right.
Kind of a scruffy guy always, and he plays a apocalyptic type show where the aliens take over and they make colonies of all the big cities. I enjoy that. And then they just released Bates Motel, I think the 5th season.
Right.
And, have you ever watched it?
No.
It's nothing kind of like you thought it would be. For instance, everybody knows it's based off the movie Psycho.
Right.
last night, I'm halfway through the 5th season, was the very first shower scene.
Oh my goodness.
It's 5 seasons leading up to what happened to that point.
Wow.
What took him to that point to make him want to stab somebody in the shower.
Right.
So to give you an idea, it's really a lot of background, goes real way around into what makes a person, he kind of went, psycho. He was psycho. So anyway, it's a lot tamer than you think it would be. But at the same time, there are some adult themes and stuff in it, but a good watch. So that's pretty much what I've been doing, and just in the short time that I have, it seems like these days.
I hear you. Now, Text JYT says Black Mirror is awesome.
Yeah,
I've seen some episodes. I haven't seen.
I
haven't watched it like all the way.
It's kind of on my click to watch. You know, there's one about Frankenstein that I want to see.
There's like a Star Trek one too.
Yeah,
that I watched. That one is pretty good.
It's like I've got to wrap up these other shows, and then I'll go. I'm down to about 1 or 2 shows a night before I fall asleep. I'm really getting old.
Yeah, you're not the only one. With a newborn baby.
Oh gosh, you just got to sleep in shifts whenever you can.
We watched a new show that was very interesting on CBS called Living Biblically.
Yes.
Have you seen? Did you see the pilot?
I have seen previews to it. It is.
You know the concept then?
Yes, I know the concept.
The concept is it's this guy, and he's kind of going through like a midlife crisis. His best friend just died, and he's going to have a baby. Okay? But he realizes like he's a terrible human being. Like that's what he comes to the conclusion of, basically. And so he finds a Bible and decides, I'm going to follow the Bible 100% to the letter.
Okay.
Like literally
old
to
Leviticus,
the letter. Right, exactly.
Like,
Levitical law. We're talking about the whole thing.
Okay.
And so it was kind of funny though. The pilot was.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed it. It was good. So we may keep watching that. I found the concept funny.
The guy from Big Bang Theory, is he the producer or an actor in there?
I can't remember.
I think he produced the show. Anyway, the guy that plays Leonard.
Yeah.
On Big Bang Theory. Anyway, and it did look kind of funny.
And I think you can watch it on Hulu, so if you want to catch up on it, it's a CBS show.
Yes.
So, but it was very funny. I thought the pilot was good. Spunky Bruiser says, I find I watch more YouTube than I do actual TV. We appreciate that. We're glad you're here.
Yeah. But that's my son now. He will just watch YouTube videos and shows, and I know he has YouTube Red now, so he can watch movies and stuff. That's really all he watches now. It's strange, because he just never watches TV with us.
At school, they don't talk about what show they watch. They talk about what YouTube video did you see.
And
have you seen the YouTube video with the guy who did the thing?
What was weird was watching the Olympics in the living room with all of us in there.
Right.
It was like, wow, that we have not sat in the living room and watched something that wasn't a sporting event, and these really were.
Right.
But we kind of were, every night, it was kind of bringing our family. We'd eat at the table, and then we'd watch there. It was so strange.
Right. Well, but that's the nice thing, I think, about the Olympics, Tim. It's a time where we can all come together and watch things.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Baseball season's about to come up, so I'm going to be watching baseball full time. It stays on the TV when it's on. I watch all the games. It's as many games as I can. So, but I will say this. Netflix fans, Jessica Jones Season 2 comes out in a week. And so I will be binge watching that. I love Jessica Jones Season 1. I'm a big sucker, Tim, for film noir PI stuff, and that's what Jessica Jones is. Okay. So except with the superhero slant.
I like crime drama stuff.
Right. It's kind of a crime drama because
she
has to. She's a PI, so she researches things and finds out, goes after bad guys and stuff like that. So, but Jessica Jones Season 2 on Netflix coming up within the next week. I think March 8th.
Okay.
So there you go. Any other TV shows, movies, anything? Last call.
No, we've been dragging this out for a couple hours now. I think we'll let everybody go.
Dragging this out? I thought we had fun.
We did have fun.
That's right. I thought we had fun.
I really would like to hear some feedback on the debate. I thought that was kind of fun.
I thought we got a lot of feedback on the debate.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see after the show what people thinking on our Facebook page.
So if you're watching this after the fact, post
later.
Something on Facebook or in the comments on the YouTube if you like that segment. Tim, I like that segment.
Below. It was kind of fun. Right. We just kind of last minute chose a side too, so we didn't really know which.
That's right.
Which one?
But this is what we're gonna do. We're always gonna take opposite sides.
Yeah.
So if you choose first, I'm gonna take the opposite, and if I choose first, you gotta take the opposite. Because here's the thing you may not know about Tim. Tim likes to debate, and so do I.
Yeah.
And it's fun to debate. It's fun to
But the boxes were cool. I felt like I was on Fox and Friends.
You want me to put you back in the box?
Yeah, put me in the box.
Okay, back in the box.
That is so cool.
You felt like you're unboxing Friends?
Yeah.
CNN, man. That's CNN right there. I'm telling you.
Fake news, really?
Yeah, fake news.
Okay.
That's what we are, isn't it?
I think so.
Yes, you're exactly right. So, no, I like being in a box. I feel like we need a different background, though. I think the little line gives it away. The line right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see.
Maybe I'll stand over there next time.
Oh, yeah, then I'll have to rig up the cameras to do all that.
I know. That's what...
You want it to be
It's a
more
challenge.
realistic.
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
just step outside. I might want to punch you or something right here, you know? It's like,
Yeah, like we can debate and be friendly. That's what we do
Yes.
all the time. We're always friendly. Okay,
Walk
I
away.
thought we got good debate. And Tim, I think I'm going to just take that one part of it and cut it out and like put it on Facebook and see what people think of it too.
It was kind of fun, too. A good topic.
Right.
Because, you know, there
We got
was a
some
lot
other
of
topics. We've been talking with Louie and some of the other people,
Yeah.
some of our other staff members, and like we could do CRT versus LCD.
Yeah.
I'll take either one on that.
I would, too.
So, what was another one that we talked about? I forget. There were a couple other different debate topics that we had pitched around. Was there another?
Yeah,
what was
maybe you're in the chat or you're watching this. You have I'd love to see you guys talk about this. I think we might have talked about converting classic games to 61 or something.
Yeah, or restorations versus refurbishments.
Refurbishments. You're right.
Okay. What if you change the color of the T molding, like on the Galaga, is that a restoration or is that a refurbishment?
Right.
You can take that. So I mean, we talked about a couple. I like the ones that are just yes or no.
Right.
So that's what we'll do. So would you consider a game restored if they change if they change the color of the T molding, or if they change something that is not as original?
Right.
That yes or no? Would you consider restoration if they put something on that's non-original? That's a good. I mean, that's a good question. So I mean, something like that. And then, do you consider? Should you only use CRTs in arcade games? Yes or no?
Sure. We
So-
got something.
There you go. A CRT all the way. Not really a debate. Well, you can still debate it.
Yeah.
That's the idea. And so the arcade debates segment, I think, is here to stay, Tim.
The problem with CRTs is they're just, at some point, you spend a lot of money to get it fixed.
Right.
More
and
than
we're running out of CRTs.
Running out of CRTs. I'm kind of on the fence on that one now. 5 years ago, I'm like, well, fix your current tube or whatever. Now it's, a lot of games that we have.
Tubes a lot of times. If there's a tube goes out, you're going to be dumpster diving.
To me, it kind of depends on the game.
Yeah.
Some of them really look good with LCD, like a Hydro Thunder.
Yeah, Hydro Thunder looks fun.
Looks great.
Yeah.
But so I like my Pac-Man.
I think newer style games, it doesn't bug me as much in. Anything that's like Street or like Mortal Kombat 4 and higher, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Even Mortal Kombat 4 would be okay. Anything that has a PC connect, like a VGA port on it. I think,
you go.
I mean, that's made for LCD to me.
Right. What's going on in the chat room?
Hard to find at now, thinking of buying a game for the monitor. Yeah, and that's what we're having to do now, right?
Exactly.
So, to pack cone or not to pack cone? Should I turn my Pac-Man into a snow cone machine? Tim, which side are you going to take on that? Yes, I think you should turn your Pac-Man into a snow cone machine.
Well,
absolutely.
if I wasn't such a big fan of snow cones,
It really depends on the flavor.
If
it's a tropical snow cone machine, we may be able to do it.
What's that cabinet we were talking about earlier? The one that's $400.
The arcade 1-up.
I'm gonna turn one of them into a snow cone.
There you go.
I only got $400 in it.
So there you go. Spunky Bruiser also says, I did change to an LCD in my Need for Speed Underground. Older games without VGA, CRT. And I think maybe that's the rule of thumb. If it has a VGA output on it already, LCD should be fine.
Yeah.
So like I have a Tekken Tag Tournament over there, Soul Calibur, those all have VGA output on them. If it's got VGA output on it, heck, just hook an LCD up to it.
But you know what looks weird with Donkey Kong?
Yeah.
Just looks weird.
Right.
It doesn't look right.
Well, and I think the difference is that when you're talking about pixels versus like full-on drawn 3D characters, you know what I'm saying? There's a difference in that, I think.
I believe.
So there you go. Okay.
Well,
are we done?
I'm done.
We're done.
I'm ready to go.
I'm tired.
Watch
I'm hungry.
Netflix and go to bed.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes.
Okay, well, we want to thank everybody for joining us for the after show. Hopefully you got something out of it. I know, Tim, the after show is after the show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a little bit more
And a lot
relaxed.
of people stuck around.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody sticking around. And
listen to just opinions and
maybe
weird
we
stuff.
should just do an arcade debate to do it, not in a live show.
It's a Tim's investment tips.
Oh, there you go. Tim's investment tip. There you go. So, what did we talk about? Dropbox, Spotify.
Yeah.
So there you go. Don't buy either.
Don't buy it.
Yeah. We can, you're always talking about how you tell people what not to do.
Yeah.
What not to do.
Don't buy.
Don't buy.
Well, buy early, sell quickly.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, anyway, guys, well, we're out. Thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate all of you in the chat room. And join us next month. Tim, I think we said April 5th?
Yep.
April 5th, 5:30 Central Time for the next live show. And until then, we bid you all a good farewell and enjoy the rest of our videos on YouTube. Thanks a lot for sticking around, guys, and we'll see you on April 5th.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, it was fun. I think